A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Jane Ace's 18-year-old niece Betty still has a crush on Neil Williams, in spite of anything Neil can do to convince the girl that he's in love with Marge. Jane, hoping to break up the crush, has interested Cokie in Betty, and Cokie has fallen for Betty in a big way. This episode takes place in alternating scenes between the Ace's apartment and the home of Mr. Marsh. He's the man responsible for Mr. Ace losing all his money. But first to the Ace's, where we find Jane, Mr. Ace, and Marge. And here comes Betty. Listen.
Aunt Jane.
Yes, Betty, what is it?
You've got to stop that Cokie, or whatever his name is, from coming down to my office.
What?
He's been there all day. I tell him I'm busy and send him away, and an hour later he comes back. He's been doing that all day.
He has? Oh, isn't he cute?
Cute? That big Tarzan?
Betty.
Well, that's all he is, all brawn and old brain.
Betty, you shouldn't
Hey,
talk
what's
that
the matter with you?
Nothing's the matter with me.
Well, what are you shouting about?
I simply want it understood that I'm not to be molested by that moron.
Oh, tell it to the morons. Who are you to talk like that about a sweet boy like Cokie?
I'm not interested in discussing it. I simply said that I want you to tell him to stay away from my office.
If he wants to go there, he can. This is a free country.
But the office where I work is a private office. Mr. Peabody won't stand for it. And if
I
you
wish
think...
you'd settle down and cool off.
Please, Uncle Ace, will you stay out of this? I'm talking to Aunt Jane.
Yes, and to every apartment in this building. We can hear you. Do you have to scream?
It's enough to make me scream. The day I put in today. Every time I turned around, there he was.
Cokie, you mean?
Yes. I want him stopped from coming up there.
All right, just say so. We'll tell him, but you don't have to...
We won't tell him any such thing. This is a free country, the land of milk and money. And if he wants to go up there, he can.
Oh, I expected you to just sit there and laugh.
Well, I'm glad you weren't disappointed.
You stay out of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just happened to overhear you whispering something to Jane about Cokie.
And what if he does come up to see you? You ought to be glad some fellow shows enough interest in you.
I don't want his interest.
Why not? You act like he's the skim of the earth. He's not an underground character or something.
Oh, Aunt Jane, what loose language.
Beg pardon?
All I say is that Mr. Peabody isn't accustomed to having his office littered with loiterers.
Littered with loiterers? Well, what lovely lingo. Betty, who is this Mr. Peabody, and what has he got
He's
to...
my boss, that's who he is.
I see. And Mr. Peabody saw Cokie sitting there today?
Yes, in my office, and he didn't like it one bit.
Really? What did he say?
Well, it wasn't so much what he said, but he certainly looked plenty.
Oh, at Cokie?
At both of us.
Oh.
And once he called me into his office and he asked me who he was.
And after you told him, what did he...
Oh, I didn't tell him.
What?
I couldn't explain why he was there, could I? I just had to say he was a stranger to me.
A
And
stranger?
this Mr. Peabody just let him sit there?
What else could he do?
Well, he could have had him arrested, I suppose.
Arrested for what?
For what? Well, income tax evasion, maybe.
What? Will you stop laughing? You know you don't mean it.
Don't I?
Of course you don't. It's only your defense mechanism.
Well, you should know.
You're so provoked about Neil, you can't see straight.
Oh, you just leave Neil out of it. You were talking about Cokie.
Yes, and Mr. Peabody. He isn't accustomed to having his office littered with loiterers. Now take it from there.
Oh, I'm serious about this. Do you want me to lose my job?
Well, how are you going to lose your job?
I am if every time Mr. Peabody comes through my office, he finds Cokie sitting there staring at me.
Oh, well, does it hurt you if he looks at you? He thinks you're beautiful. He told me, and if some fellow thought I was beautiful, present company accepted, dear,
What?
I'd certainly know better than get mad at him and want him to go away, especially when he's such a sweet boy like Cokie.
With all due respect to you, Aunt Jane, and to you, Uncle Ace, I'm not interested in him. He bothers me. I can't do my work with him sitting across the desk staring into my face. And I won't go through another day like today.
Well, I don't know what we can do about it.
Can't you tell him not to come to my office? Can't
The
you tell him
boy's got a crush on you, I guess.
A crush.
Yeah, I can't see why myself.
A crush is school kid stuff.
Oh.
You ought to know.
What did you say?
I said you ought to know all about schoolgirl crushes.
What do you mean by that?
I think you know.
Oh, I suppose your evil mind is conjuring up ideas that I led this illiterate boy on.
Oh, no, he just couldn't resist your charms. So many cats, you know.
I suppose you're referring to Neil.
What do you do with all your cast-off men?
I don't care to talk to you. Aunt Jane.
What?
Are you going to speak to Cokie or not? You've got to. Mr. Peabody won't stand for it. I won't stand for it. It'll mean that Mr. Peabody will discharge me. You want me to lose my job on account of him?
Oh, come in. Good evening, George.
Hello, Mr. Moss. I've got to talk to you.
Sure, sit down and make yourself... you know Mrs. Marsh. Dear, this is Mr. Peabody.
Of course. Glad to see you again, Mr. Peabody.
Thank you. I'm sorry I had to drop in on you like this.
Oh, it's quite all right. We just finished dinner. Care for a smoke?
No, thanks. I'm too nervous for anything.
Why, what's the matter?
Oh, plenty. I don't know if it's anything, but I've got to talk to you.
Go right ahead.
But this is rather private.
Private? Nonsense. Mrs. Marsh knows all my business.
But this is about that option money.
Yes?
Go right ahead, Mr. Peabody. Don't mind me.
Of course not. Mrs. Marsh and I have no secrets from each other. She knows all about that deal with Mr. Ace. Now, what about that option?
Well, ever since we put over that little transaction, I've had it on my mind. Oh, it was too risky.
Risky? In what way?
In every way. Somebody might find out you own that property that you got Mr. Ace to take an option on.
Find out at this late stage? Why, that's been over for weeks.
Yes, I know. But, well, to tell you the truth, it's been on my mind ever since we got that money. And now, well...
Now what? Speak up, man.
Well, there's been some man hanging around my office for the last day or so.
A man? Who is he?
I don't know. But he doesn't look right to me. He just comes and goes.
Now, wait a minute. You mean a strange man whom you've never seen before comes to your office every day and goes away and comes back?
Yes, that's it. Oh, it's got me crazy.
If you don't know who he is in your own office?
I tried to find out. I asked my secretary who he was. She says she doesn't know.
Why don't you call the police and have him thrown out?
Oh, I was afraid to start anything. You see, this deal's on my conscience.
Conscience, my dear Mr. Peabody, is a very bad thing to have in business.
Well, I can't help it. I tell you, there's something up.
I wonder.
You see, you're afraid, too.
I was wondering if there is something up.
What do you mean, Tom?
At the last meeting of the city council, somebody, I forget who, somebody said something about that piece of property, or just a passing remark.
There, you see. I knew the minute we banked that $25,000 we hadn't heard the end of it. We have got to do something.
Now, you're going to have to calm down first before we can do anything.
Of course, Mr. Peabody. You're going to pieces over nothing.
Nothing. It isn't nothing. What's he doing there? If he isn't from the DA's office...
DA?
Nonsense.
I don't know, my dear.
Well, Tom, you don't think that somebody is really...
I don't know. I only know what Mr. Peabody has just told us.
I tell you, there's something going on. I watched him through my private office. I opened the door a crack and watched him.
What was he doing?
Nothing. Nothing. Just sits there and stares.
Stares?
I tell you, it's giving me the jitters. We've got to do something.
Yes, maybe you're right.
Oh, Tom, it's ridiculous. How could anybody find out that you own that property? Why, it's in Mr. Peabody's company's name. You don't show up in any part of the transaction.
Well, just the same, it's best to play safe.
I'll say it is. Now, what are we going to do?
Well, if there's really something afoot, that is, adding two and two together, what you just told me, Mr. Peabody, and that chance remark I heard the other day at the city council meeting, there might be some fireworks.
I'll say there will.
Yes, especially if Mr. Ace happens to hear something about it.
Or read something about it in the papers.
There's nothing going to be in the papers. Nobody knows anything.
Just the same, my dear, I think it'd be wise to take precautions.
Well, what do we do?
Well, now, let me see. I wonder how it'd be if I called up Mr. Ace.
Now, don't do anything rash, Tom.
I won't, my dear. It may cost us a little something, Mr. Peabody.
I don't care anything, just so we get out of it.
All he wants you to do is to go out with him, that's all, Betty.
Go out with him? Me?
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh.
All right.
The very thought of it is revolting.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
Oh.
Sure, she can go as far as she wants, dear. Where do you want to go with him? That's telling her, Jane.
And I'll thank you to stay out of it.
Well, why won't you go with him? What's the matter with him?
I haven't the time to tell you.
Well, I've got all night.
It would take all night.
Oh, yes? Well, just say one thing that's the matter with him. For everything you say, I'll say a thing that's good about him.
In the first place, he's illiterate.
He's tall. There.
He's ungainly.
He's nice looking.
He's uncouth.
He's, tall.
He's poor company.
He's
a bad...
No, wait, now it's my turn. He's,
Tall, Jane?
Yes, he's tall.
You're repetitious.
Now, just leave me out of this. We're talking about Cokie.
I don't think you have to try to sell Cokie to her, Jane. She wouldn't understand.
Oh, I wouldn't. I understand Neil well enough.
Yes, don't you know?
Of course I do.
Over the telephone.
Oh, I'll answer it, Jane.
Aunt Jane, please make him leave me alone.
And I wish you'd leave Neil alone.
Neil?
Yes.
Leave Neil out of this. I'm talking about Cokie.
And I'm talking about...
Just a minute. Jane, will you please...
Well, she said leave Neil out of this, and I
I'm trying
said...
to answer the phone. Will you both be quiet?
Well...
Hello? I'm sorry. What did you say? Oh, hello, Mr. Marsh.
Mr. Marsh? Well, that guy's back again.
Yes, Mr. Marsh. It has been tough sledding, but I managed to get myself a job, and I'm doing the best I can. What? Well, of course I'd be interested in something, but I haven't any ready cash at the moment. Oh, well, of course.
What is it, dear?
Sure, I'll be glad to anytime you... Fine. Tomorrow at lunch. Yes, sir. I'll be there. Yeah. Thank you for thinking of me. Okay. Yes. Goodbye. Well,
what is it, eh?
that was Mr. Morris. He said he's been thinking about me quite a lot since I lost all that money, and he wants to throw something my way.
What a boy!
Well, how do you like that? Now, there's a man I call considerate.
Considerate, Betty. There's another one for Cokie. He's
Jane,
considerate.
this is no time to think of that. What do you think of this good news?
Attaboy, dear. But, Betty, you've got to let Cokie...
I don't want him coming up to my office.
Well, he can go where he wants to. This is a free country, the land of stars and stripes.
Of stripes.
And here's hoping Cokie's sit-down strike gets some action out of Mr. Marsh and Betty's boss, Mr. Peabody. We learn just what action when next we meet the Easy Aces.
Inviting you to listen in on the Nightline. Tonight, live the incredible life of ages yet to come in a time that might be 1,000,000 years from now on X-1. Now, an incredible story of the world beyond.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Old Die Rich by H.L. Gold. But first, hear this.
Hello, I'm Dorothy Olson, singing schoolteacher on NBC's big weekday musical show, Bandstand. But right now, I'd like to talk to you parents. I'd like to ask you a few questions as you're getting ready to send your youngsters back to school. Are you helping your child get the most out of his school? Do you make his home conditions favorable enough for him to do his homework? Do you show an interest in his schoolwork? Remember, your child's success in school and later on in life depends to a large degree on your attitude towards his schooling today. And there's another important thing. Everyone needs a good send-off in the morning, and that goes for children, too. Be sure your children have a substantial breakfast and a cheery goodbye before they head for school each day. Remember, you can't expect your child to do it all himself. Encourage him in his schooling, both in your attitude and in your actions as he goes back to school this fall.
Now, X-1, and tonight's story, The Old Die Rich.
Doc, what did she die of?
Not eating, Sergeant. Malnutrition.
Oh, look, Doc, in the top bureau drawer, she has bank books showing $32,000 in 5 different banks. She had the price of a meal.
Malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. They starve because they're less afraid of death than of digging into their savings.
I don't know, Doc. Doesn't feel right to me.
Listen, Weldon, just because you can get up on a stage and play the part of some 70-year-old geezer, that doesn't qualify you as an expert on gerontology.
I just don't believe it. It isn't right. I don't feel it.
Well, lucky for me, I don't have to feel these things inside of me because I'm a doctor, not an actor, nor an amateur detective. Sergeant, malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. I'll order the wicker basket from Bellevue. So long, Barrymore.
Well, he's right, Mark. We get a couple of these cases every year. Some old bat starving to death with $17,000 in old bills pinned on his union suit. Turns up all the time.
It doesn't feel right.
Well, Doc knows his business.
But he doesn't know old people. I do. I've gone to a lot of trouble to study their habits. It isn't easy to starve to death. Hunger is a pretty potent instinct.
Yeah, but, Mark, you can't argue with the facts. There were the 5 bank books, $32,000.
Took good care of them. They look almost new. Let's see. April 23rd, 1907. Deposit of $150. The ink's pretty dark. Shouldn't it be faded?
No, she probably never took it out in the light.
Anyone ever think of testing the ink?
Oh, now, Mark, this is strictly against regulations. I've got to take these books down to the squad room and sign them in.
Pretty dark ink for 1907.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I could hold them over tonight, bring them down to the property clerk in the morning.
Good. I know where I can find a chemist.
Mr. Weldon, there's no doubt of it. The ink sample is typical of inks used 50 years ago. The 1970 would be about right. But according to the amount of oxidation, it's fresh enough to be only a few months old.
Well, couldn't that be the result of unusually careful handling?
Yes, Sergeant. Yes, I suppose it could. An airtight compartment, perhaps, sealed with one of the inert gases or a vacuum. But that might account for the lack of normal aging.
Lou, you can't keep inert gases in a top bureau drawer in a fourth-floor walk-up.
Yeah, well, it's probably some simple explanation.
For fresh ink half a century old? Right after that, I got a television part that kept me busy for about a month. And then Lou Pape called me up and asked me to come down to Bellevue.
Mark, is that you?
Hi, Lou. What's up?
An old guy I found wandering around down on Hester Street. He was suffering from malnutrition. He had $17,000 in cash inside the lining of his jacket.
He's alive?
No, not now he isn't. Doc's got him in the room there. But he was stumbling around when the cop on the beat picked him up.
Did he say anything?
Just before he went out completely, he did say something, maybe 3 or 4 times.
What was it?
El Greco.
You mean the artist? Anything else, Lou?
Yeah, it's nothing for me, but we found the old guy's room, and there was an ad thumbtacked over the sink. Nothing unusual.
Yeah?
Here it is.
Men and women wanted. Light work suitable for old people. No references required. Now, why would an old man with $17,000 in cash be answering an ad like that? It was an old brownstone house in the East 80s. I got in line with the rest of the applicants. My face was lined with collodion wrinkles, and I wore an antique, shiny suit and run-down shoes. It was a good makeup job. I looked more authentic than the rest of the old-timers who were waiting for the interview. I finally came up to where a woman was asking the questions.
Name?
Kernet. Louis Kernet. Kernet.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any references? Family?
No, ma'am. I haven't got any family. I had a cousin in Salt Lake City. I haven't seen him in 30 years or more. The ad said you didn't want no references.
That's right. And now, will you wait in the other room?
Yes, ma'am. Do I get the job, ma'am?
Just wait in the other room.
I shuffled into the other room and sat down to wait. I'd planned to be dozing the way an old man would, and so my eyes were closed when I heard the door close. When I opened them, I was looking into the barrel of a .38 revolver.
Are you awake now, Mr. Weldon?
Ma'am? What?
I don't think you need to carry on any more. If you need any further convincing, you're Mark Weldon, you're about 40 years old, and you played the same character on television about 6 weeks ago. You played it fairly well.
Thank you. Would you mind putting down the gun?
You've been very busy recently trying to find out why senile psychotics starve themselves to death.
You know a great deal more about me than I do about you.
I would be glad to enlighten you. My name is May Roberts. I'm the daughter of the late Dr. Anthony Roberts, the physicist who was dismissed from the Brookhaven Atomic Energy Laboratory 5 years ago.
Oh, I assume you're connected with those starvation cases, or you wouldn't have known that I was investigating them, huh?
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? I'm not afraid of professional detectives, Mr. Weldon. They deal only with facts. But I don't like amateurs. They guess too much. They don't stick to reality. Consequently, they're likely to get too close to the truth.
Unfortunately, Miss Roberts, I'm nowhere near the truth. I haven't the slightest idea how you're tied in with these starvation deaths.
Oh, I intend to show you, Mr. Weldon. I'm happy to announce that you have the job.
Oh, now look.
All right, Mr. Weldon, right ahead of you, please. Through that door. It will take about 5 minutes for the field to build up, Mr. Weldon. Please get in the cathode area.
You mean that wire cage?
Go ahead.
All right, all right.
Now, I wouldn't advise moving now, Mr. Weldon. The wire carries some 10,000 volts.
Well, now, look, Miss Roberts.
Mr. Weldon, you are curious, and you could turn out to be a great nuisance to me. As long as you've come this far, we might as well both benefit by it.
Benefit?
Yes. On the floor, you'll find a set of envelopes. There's a set of instructions in each. Follow them carefully.
I don't get it.
You will. Use the envelopes in the order they are arranged.
Look, what's all this about?
Mr. Weldon, I meant it when I said this could be a benefit to both of us. There's no use in my explaining. You'll find out. And don't try to escape. It can't be done. All right, now, the field generators are ready.
Now, look, Miss Roberts, this is absolute...
Just follow instructions, Mr. Weldon.
I blinked. I was standing outside a bank on a sunny day in spring. The cars were square with flat radiators in the front. There was a trolley car passing by. And suddenly I realized that the last trolley car stopped running in Manhattan years ago. I tried to figure it out. It was New York, all right. I recognized some of the buildings. First, I figured it must have been hypnosis. And then I looked at the first of the envelopes in my pocket. I read it and walked into the bank.
Yes, sir? Now, Mr. Golden tells me you wish to open an account.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're very happy to have a new depositor. Very happy indeed. Of course, you realize the institution is in sound condition, very sound. You needn't worry about all those rumors in this bank. No, sir. Solid.
That's good.
Now then, name, Mark Weldon.
Mm-hmm.
You have no address in the city at present?
No.
And you're depositing $150.
That's right.
All righty. I'll just check the slip. $150, right? The date, May 15th, of course, 1931.
I went outside the bank and I stood there in the spring sunlight and let the terror soak into me. The impossibility of the entire situation was gnawing at the edges of my mind. And then suddenly, I wasn't there. It was 1934. And I found myself inside a broker's office.
As I understand it, Mr. Weldon, you're buying this stock for Dr. Anthony Roberts.
That's right.
I assume the stock will be in his name.
That's right. I'm just acting as agent. I follow instructions.
Of course. Are you sure I can't convince you that you're making a mistake?
No. These are my instructions.
Mr. Weldon, we are a reputable brokerage house, and I feel quite shaky about putting any client's money into this kind of security. Frankly, I see no future in it. It's a rare metal for which there is very little use for industrial purposes. However, if your client is adamant...
I have my instructions, sir.
Very well, then, in the name of Dr. Anthony Roberts, 100 shares of Montana uranium. Oh, well. Very unwise. Most unwise.
It went that way about 50-50. I'd deposit money in my own name in various banks at various times, and then I'd buy a stock or make a bet for May Roberts. On June 21st, 1932, I bet Jack Sharkey to take the heavyweight title away from Max Schmeling. There was Singing Wood in 1933 at Belmont Park, and Max Baer over Primo Carnera. I went on, skipping through the years like a flat stone over water, touching here and there for a few minutes to an hour at a time. It was in early October 1938, about 5 hours after I had left May Roberts' house, before I realized what she had me doing. I was making deposits and winning sure bets just as those senile psychotics had done. The ink of their bank books was fresh because the entries in them were fresh. The ink wasn't given a chance to oxidize. At the rate I was going, I'd be back at my own time in a few hours with $15,000 compound interest in cash, to say nothing of those bets. But those old people had died of starvation in spite of all that cash. Well, I was hungry, so I got myself a hamburger and went out the door. When I hit the sidewalk, it happened again.
Don't touch the cage yet, Mr. Weldon. I'll have to clear the charge.
Hey, what happened to my hamburger?
What?
The hamburger. I had it here. It's gone. I'm hungry.
I'll get you something to eat, Mr. Weldon, before your next trip. You've done pretty well for yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. About 15,000.
You can come out now. But be careful. Don't touch the contact. The field reacts on a random factor for at least an hour after it's cut off.
Hey, I had ketchup on my sleeve. It's gone.
Mr. Weldon, I want to talk seriously with you. You've seen now part of what I'm doing.
Part?
I've been able to save things that would have been lost otherwise. I've sent people back to find precious treasures that would have been destroyed or would have disappeared.
Like an El Greco painting?
Yes. And the original score of Mozart's Magic Flute that would have been burned in 1942. And the Picasso miniature that would have been lost at sea in 52. I have them all here.
Stolen?
No. Bought with money from the year itself at a fair price. Well, Mr. Weldon, I sent you back because I've needed someone to work with me on a regular basis. Someone who's faster and more alert than the old people I've hired up until now. I assume you're interested. And that we can make our plans without my using this revolver?
Well, this one is a little hard to work out. You see, I got interested in this business because they found some old people dead of malnutrition and $30,000 or so tucked away in their pockets. They'd been gone a month or more. They had to eat during that time, didn't they? And when they came back, the food disappeared like my hamburger. It disappeared all at once. In one fast jolt, they starved to death.
No. You don't understand. They just couldn't take the field transition.
Oh, no, you can't tell me that because I know how hungry I am, and I was only gone about 12 hours. They were murdered.
Get back.
You know, they say a hungry man gets pretty desperate. He'll do almost anything. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Look out. Look out, the cage, the contact. She fell into that cage and disappeared before she hit the ground. I didn't know what happened. I know she said the field worked in a random action, whatever that meant. Lou didn't believe the story I told him.
You mean there won't be any more of them? No more senile psychotics starving to death with a bankroll in their hip pocket?
No more, Lou. I was wrong. There was one more case, and perhaps it was the strangest one. A woman was found wandering in Bryant Park just before she died of acute starvation. The strange thing was, she was young, not more than 30. And the other was that she had $17,000 stuffed in her pocketbook, and a bullet wound in her arm that the medical examiner said was at least 2 months old. I guess that's what she meant by random action.
Fred Collins speaking, and I'll have another word about X-1 in a moment. As a child, Louise had been a lonely orphan until the Harvey family came along and took her into their home and into their hearts. As Louise herself says, they gave me everything, including the love I longed for. They fed me and clothed me as if I were one of their own. And I repaid them with treachery and heartache. You'll wonder if Louise will be able to repair the damage she's done to a group of splendid people as you listen tomorrow to My True Story. My True Story, with a complete drama every morning about people and their problems, is one of radio's most popular morning programs. You'll hear My True Story every weekday just before NBC Bandstand. So remember, My True Story for drama and NBC Bandstand for music and light-hearted entertainment. Together they make a wonderfully varied morning's listening every weekday on most of these NBC stations. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Share Alike by Daniel F. Galouye. When the experts discovered a way to enable two objects to occupy the same space at the same time, they thought they'd solved the housing problem. But on the other hand, they created an exasperating new one. Read it in Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you The Old Die Rich, a story written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Ralph Camargo as Mark Weldon, Patricia Wheel as May Roberts, Bill Zuckert as Sergeant Pate, and others in our cast were Harvey Hayes, Roger DeKoven, and Guy Rep. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
You'll be on the right line for exciting nighttime entertainment when you hear Nightline. Tonight, over most of these NBC stations.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series, X-1. Now escape to a world of the future.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, Tsylana by James E. Gunn. But first, hear this. Now, X-1. Our story, Tsylana by James E. Gunn.
My name is Norman Blake, statistician, first class. At 2:30 p.m. on Monday, October 21st, in the year 2055, I became a deviant. I left my job an hour early. To deviate from the norm was unheard of in a perfectly adjusted society such as ours. Thanks to the great psychologist Kinder, we had a society where everybody's job suited his talents and needs, where children were raised scientifically, and where everyone lived happily on an even keel instead of swinging back and forth from gloom to ecstasy. Then I noticed it, the single flaw in the perfect system.
Come in. Yes, Norm.
Henry, I'd like to talk to you for a moment privately.
Close the door. It's rather unusual for me to see one of my statisticians privately, but since we're old friends...
Something rather serious has come up.
Oh?
As you know, my duty is to check the computers to make certain there are no deviations.
Yes?
This morning, I ran over the figures for our district. Here is the sheet. The deviation is near the bottom.
1,037 gallons of water purified, 1,037 gallons consumed, 9,328 births, 9,328 deaths. I see nothing wrong so far. No.
Read the next item.
One candy bar taken from baby. Well?
Don't you see? A baby can't consent. Therefore, it must have been taken without consent. Henry, that is theft. We haven't had a case of theft in this society for almost 29 years.
I see.
It's got me so upset I can't think of anything else.
You're a little edgy, aren't you?
Well, wouldn't you be if you knew there was an antisocial being walking the streets of your own city?
I don't think I'd quite go to pieces like that. Maybe, well, this is just a suggestion. Maybe you ought to see an analyst. Perhaps it would help you deal with this problem.
I've been analyzed.
How long ago?
8 years.
Well, unless you're prepared to handle this problem, I'd advise you to get some help. Meanwhile, take the rest of the afternoon off.
Off? Deviate from the schedule?
As director, and as an old friend of yours, I order it. I consider you to be in extreme upset.
That's your order?
That's my order.
I must confess that as I went toward the elevator, a line kept running through my head. Norm has departed from the norm. I was doing something unorthodox, and what frightened me was that it amused me. Here I was, leaving work 1 hour early. I was so preoccupied that I stepped into the elevator without noticing that someone was already in it. An invasion of privacy almost unforgivable. He was a small, strange-looking man with short silver hair and thick, round glasses. Oops, I beg your pardon. I didn't really know you were...
Perfectly all right, stranger.
I'll just step out and...
Hold it, brother. You've got troubles, I can see.
Well,
My advice to you is see an analyst. Don't wait another 24 hours.
Thank you for the advice.
That's more than advice, brother. It's a commercial. Here's my card. Andrew C. Rednick, public analyst.
Oh, you're an analyst.
Freelance.
I didn't know there were any.
I'm probably one of the few still practicing. My slogan is, don't kid with your id. If life ain't dandy, come see Andy.
I may be up to see you.
You will, I can tell.
I put on my public face, the mask we wear on the street, and rode home in the proper manner, my arms and hands folded. When I got home, my wife, Nada, was in her room. I signaled on the intercom in case she was, entertaining. She wasn't. She never did. Sometimes I wondered if Nada was quite normal and well-adjusted. Hello, darling.
Is something wrong? Why are you home so early?
I just uncovered a crime wave.
A what?
A crime wave. A theft. Candy. From a baby.
Is that serious?
It threatens the entire structure of our society. We have a delicately balanced mechanism here. We're not ready for crime. Oh, we don't even know how to catch a criminal.
Isn't there an old saying, it takes a thief to catch a thief?
It takes a... Darling, that's it. That's the answer to our problem.
What is?
In order to protect society, I've got to catch the thief. And the only way to do it, obviously, is to become one myself.
You're listening to Tsylana, tonight's attraction on X-1. Now, back to X-1 and Tsylana.
The address on the card was a deserted skyscraper, a pre-analytic building. The elevators were out of order, and I had to climb 29 flights of stairs. Finally, I was in front of a door that read, Andrew C. Rednick, Public Analyst. Grin and come in. Mr. Rednick?
It ain't Santa Claus, brother.
Who?
You wouldn't remember. Park your ego. Now, boy, what's your problem?
I've got to do something, and it isn't in my psychological profile.
That's the trouble with this society. Nobody's capable of handling the unexpected.
Are you saying there's an advantage to being unadjusted?
Don't second-guess the analyst, boy. If you mean by advantage, will you be happier? No. But if you mean power, then you've got it. In a country of normal people, the neurotic man is king. You want to be king, boy?
Of course not. I'm perfectly happy and well-adjusted except for one little problem.
Namely?
I've got to catch a thief.
So?
So I've got to know how a thief thinks and feels, what he does, where he goes.
You mean you want to become neurotic?
Exactly.
This is a rather unorthodox request.
I suppose it is.
I could lose my license if anyone found out.
If you don't do it, it could mean the end of society and civilization.
As bad as that, eh? Very well.
Start at once?
Why not? Sit at my desk while I lie down on the couch and tell you about my childhood.
You lie down? I'm the one that's supposed to lie down.
You forget this is reverse analysis. I'm supposed to make you neurotic, frustrated. Now then, the first thing I remember was an argument between my father and mother.
You were living with your own father and mother? Ooh, how unhygienic. What a nasty situation.
You aren't very good at this sort of thing, are you, boy? You're supposed to listen, not comment. Now then, when I was 27, I perfected analysis and revolutionized society.
What are you talking about? Kinder perfected analysis and revolutionized society. He died.
Don't second-guess the analyst.
You know, I'm beginning to dislike you already.
Fine. We're making progress already. You're beginning to experience dislike. Next, we'll achieve hatred, and then loathing. In 3 weeks, you'll be well on the road to becoming a crook.
Every day for the next week, Rednick lay comfortably on his red leather couch, rambling about his childhood and his problems, while I longed to tell him about my own. I grew more and more repressed, and my disposition became worse and worse. On the 8th day, something happened at the office that made me realize I had to hurry.
Come in.
Henry, it's happened.
What?
The thief has struck again, but this time it's even more serious.
What did he take?
$1 million is missing from the First District Bank.
Great Scott.
We've got to find this thief, Henry. We're doomed if we don't.
Well, maybe he's worked out his repressions. After all, what can a man steal after he's stolen $1 million?
I don't know, but I intend to find out.
Maybe you ought to drop it, Norm.
How can you say a thing like that? It's positively antisocial.
Calm down now. You're all upset again. Why don't you take the day off and go home? Spend some time with that lovely wife of yours. She misses you.
How do you know?
Norm, boy, do I detect a note of jealousy? You'd better watch your step. Jealousy is the forerunner of violence. Are you seeing an analyst, as I suggested?
Yes, I am.
Well, keep at it, boy. You're in bad shape.
I kept at it. By the time the annual status examinations were due, I was a complete wreck. I hated Andrew Rednick with a passion. I was ambitious and jealous. I had even sunk to that basest of all passions. I had fallen in love with my own wife. And still I had not been able to ferret out the thief. He had not struck again.
Ah, you're early, son.
So I'm early.
You'll have to wait. I have another patient.
What?
You'll have to wait. I have another patient in the other room. He'll be leaving in a minute. Just sit down.
Another patient. I could have killed him. Never occurred to me that Andrew C. Rednick would have another patient. After a few moments, a man emerged from the inner office. He was wearing a silver mask or public face, and naturally I couldn't see his features. As I had my own mask on, he didn't see my features either, but I sensed a certain hostility as he brushed by me.
Come in, son.
Who is he?
Take it easy. We don't reveal the names or identities of patients.
I hate him.
You're jealous.
Jealous. As a matter of fact, I've been thinking of quitting the analysis.
Good. This is your last session anyway.
My last session? But it can't be. The annual examinations are coming up tomorrow. I am not ready. I'll be demoted to a menial job.
I doubt it.
I told you I'm not ready. What can I do?
Have you ever thought of cheating?
On the examination? That's horrible. Only a monster could suggest such a thing. What kind of man are you? Who are you, Rednick?
Let me close the door. Now, look through the glass at my sign. You can read it backwards with the door closed.
Andrew Rednick. Rednick backwards. Kinder? You? Oh, it's impossible. He's the founder of our whole society. Besides, he's dead. He died in an accident.
All staged. I just decided to duck out.
Why?
Because, my friend, I found I had created a Frankenstein, a perfect society. It was like paradise, a Garden of Eden. The same silly people, happy, not wanting anything, not going anyplace, and not changing. So I decided to create a little sin, and thereby give the creatures change, growth, misery, ecstasy, and free will. In a sense, I made them creative. Well, son, au revoir.
But am I really finished?
You're just beginning. Your frustrations are like rabbits, boy. They just keep breeding. I'm the one who's finished.
He clapped his hat on his head and walked out, leaving me alone in his office. When I walked over to his desk, I found a gun lying on top of it. I put it in my pocket and returned to my office. The next 5 hours were spent in statistically predicting the questions I would be asked on the annual examination and in finding out the answers in advance. Then I went home.
Darling, how did it go?
Nada, take a good look at your husband. See anything different?
Well, I've been noticing a change for the past few weeks.
You're going to notice a much bigger change, sweetheart. Tomorrow, the new appointments will be made based on the results of the annual examination.
Did you do well?
Did I do well? Read this card.
The enclosed card has a magnetic reproduction of your new psychological profile. It indicates you are in the 99th percentile of leadership with the second highest altruism rating ever scored. Therefore, a new position has been created for you. Beginning tomorrow, you will be deputy mayor of the district. Deputy, darling, it's wonderful.
Yes, I dare say it is. Only one thing troubles me.
What's that?
I can't understand how anybody scored higher than I did. I'd counted on becoming mayor. The following day, I reported to the office of the new mayor of our district, the only person who had scored higher than I on the annual examination. I was ushered in promptly. The new mayor was seated behind a huge desk. He wore his public face mask. Mr. Mayor, I'm Norman Blake, the new deputy.
Yes, we've met, you know.
Oh, I'm afraid
Now, let me remove my public face. There.
Henry Foreman.
I'm amazed you didn't guess sooner.
How?
Quite simple. You and I, dear fellow, have unstable patterns. With me, the first break came the day I took that bar of candy from the baby as I was passing the nursery. My own act frightened me so that I sought an analyst. The same analyst you sought.
Rednick?
Rednick, Kinder, it's all the same.
And you were the thief and I never...
It takes one to know one, Norm.
You cheated on the exam, too.
Using the computer, just as you did.
Are there any others like us?
I don't know. We'll find out, though. We're ambitious, you and I. That means we'll be moving up, heading for the governorship, perhaps even the presidency. And then we'll collide with the others, if there are any. As Rednick said, in a world of normal people, the neurotic is king.
The only trouble with that is there can only be one king.
That's right. And only one mayor.
The look he gave me then sent chills up and down my spine. In spite of my high position, I haven't had a moment's peace or relaxation since. Neither, I suspect, has Henry Foreman. There were imbalances in our world which had to lead to the destruction of one or all of us, and we knew it. There was one saying that Rednick Kinder had forgotten to tack up on his wall. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Fred Collins again, and I'll have another word for you about X-1 in a moment. The attention of the nation is focused on Los Angeles and New York, the cities where two long-awaited World Championship boxing matches will take place. The ears of the nation will be tuned to Cavalcade of Sports on NBC Radio, the only network that will bring you both these championship bouts. Friday night, Archie Moore versus Tony Anthony for the light heavyweight crown. Monday night, Sugar Ray Robinson versus Carmen Basilio for the world's middleweight title. And you'll hear them both direct from ringside only on Cavalcade of Sports on NBC Radio. Yes, Friday night, light heavyweight champ Archie Moore pits his skill and experience against the youth and stamina of Tony Anthony. Monday night, Sugar Ray Robinson, one of the greatest boxers in history, defends his middleweight crown against Carmen Basilio. Two great championship fights, Friday night. Moore versus Anthony, Monday night, Robinson versus Basilio. Both brought to you direct from ringside on Cavalcade of Sports, exclusively on these same NBC radio stations. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Morning After by Robert Sheckley. What was Pearson doing here? Would he live or die? For the answers to these and other questions, he had to keep tuning in on a hangover. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. X-1 has brought you Tsylana, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by James E. Gunn and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in our cast were Walter Black as Norman Blake, David Ross as Andrew C. Rednick, Adele Ronson as Nada, and Guy Rep as Foreman. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
When we last saw the Gregory party aboard the stolen Euclidean submarine, their position was anything but a happy one. Compelled to anchor the submarine on the floor of the ocean in 9,000 feet of water, Jones soon discovers that the Euclideans have located them even there. As Captain Bradford engages in two-way radio communication with Johnson in Los Angeles, the scientists on the Magic Island send out a radio beam of such power as to nearly cripple the submarine. Then the Euclideans send out a musical note, keyed to a certain pitch, and Jerry Hall gets a severe headache. Mrs. Gregory watches helplessly as they plan to run the risk of capture in a desperate dash to Los Angeles.
Well, of all the crazy things I ever heard of, this is the worst. We have to run to Los Angeles to get away from a musical note that makes my headache sent over the radio.
It is not that particular note we must fear, Jerry. I can protect you in the soundproof sleeping section in the stern of the submarine. What we must guard against is the note which will cause this submarine to break up.
But how can we guard against such a thing?
If we are quick enough, we may quite possibly save the boat, though its operation may be far from perfect thereafter.
Well, never mind the boat. How about our operation?
We will not be harmed if I act quickly enough.
Oh, Joan, dear, what must you think of us? You must do this, and you must do that, while we sit helplessly by and watch you save us time and time again.
Because, Mother, I am the only one who understands all these devices the Euclideans use, and because I understand how to operate this submarine to the best advantage, to prevent the Euclideans successfully attacking us.
But isn't there something we could be doing, Joan?
Yes. If you will do as I tell you, Captain Bradford, and you also, Mother, you can assist greatly.
Oh, of course, Joan, dear. We'll be only too glad to do as you direct, won't we, Ted?
Absolutely. We're in your hands, Joan, and your orders will be the law here.
Me too.
You will remain with me, Jerry.
Oh, then I'm going to help you with something up here, huh?
No, I want you near me so that I may keep you out of trouble.
I guess that takes care of you, Jake.
Sure looks like it.
Never mind, Jerry. If Joan is taking care of you, you're in good hands.
What do we do, Joan?
You will go to the soundproof section in the extreme stern.
Back where the sleeping quarters are, dear?
Further back. Just behind the sleeping quarters, you will find another of the transparent steel doors. Open it. Enter the small chamber there and remove everything that is not permanently fastened to the floor and walls of the compartment.
What do we do with these things?
Bring them forward into the sleeping compartment at once and fasten them down to the best of your ability.
Is that all, Joan?
Yes, that is all. I will find something with which to occupy Jerry while you are gone.
Are you sure you understand exactly what's expected of us, Ted?
All we have to do is to clean everything movable out of the stern section.
What, do you know why we're doing this?
No, and it didn't seem like the time to ask questions.
Well?
Yes?
Huh?
What?
What do I do?
Listen.
Listen?
Yes, listen attentively.
Okay. I don't hear anything.
I did not mean for you to listen to sounds in general.
I'm not. I'm listening to the absence of sound in general.
My meaning was quite clear, Jerry. You are to listen to what I have to say.
Guess I can't help myself. Go ahead.
We are going to undertake a very dangerous experiment.
That won't be anything new for this trip.
This will be the first time we have deliberately created a dangerous situation for ourselves.
Oh, yeah? I suppose when we stole this submarine, we created a picnic for ourselves.
Jerry, if you persist in misunderstanding me, it will be useless to attempt to explain my plan to you.
Well, sorry, Joan. Go to it.
I am confident that our only immediate danger lies in the possibility of Octavo discovering the musical note which will set up vibrations within the structure of this boat. Vibrations sufficiently strong to shatter it.
Yeah, I guess he can do that all right. But I don't see how we're going to know when he's found it until it's too late.
We will have to move quite rapidly. You must know that to respond to a note in the musical scale, either the common scale or the wider ranges of sound, the entire construction of an object must be focused at one central point.
Oh, I know that. Like the keystone in the arch of a bridge.
Exactly. And this submarine will also be found to have a keystone, not placed as one nor appearing as one. But somewhere in everything built by the hand of man, there is one important point, one vital point which will respond to a certain musical note.
Now, I understand that. And I understand when old Octavo finds a note that fits this sub, G47 will broadcast that note in our beam, and this boat will fall to pieces.
That is the possibility.
Uh-huh. Swell idea. And when the sub cracks up, we're left to swim under 1.5 miles of ocean water.
You cannot swim under 1.5 miles of water.
I know it. That's what's worrying me.
If my plan is successful, we will remain within the boat.
Well, that won't be much fun after the boat smashes around us.
The boat will not, as you say, smash around us.
Well, if you can figure how to keep us dry after our boat leaves us on the bottom of the ocean, hurry up and tell me.
I asked Mother and Captain Bradford to remove everything from that stern ballast section for a definite reason.
Oh, I thought maybe you just wanted to give them something to do.
It will also serve that purpose. However, I want that section cleared so that we may drop it off without losing any of our supplies.
Drop it off?
Precisely.
Drop off the tail of the submarine?
It is so constructed as to permit that.
But can we still run it and steer it just as well?
We may continue to operate the boat, and our speed will be appreciably increased, though the loss of the stern stabilizing pins will render accurate navigation difficult.
Oh, that's nice. We'll go faster, but we can't steer the blame thing, huh? Won't we have a lot of fun zigzagging around, cutting the tops off submerged islands?
I will guarantee to keep the boat free of any such obstructions.
But what good will it do us to lose the tail of this thing? Old Octavo isn't shooting this musical note at the stern. He's aiming for the keynote of this boat, and that's probably near the center of it.
Precisely. And my plan is this. Octavo will find that note without doubt, and possibly find it very soon, as he must have been experimenting all through the hours since we left the island. When he finds it, it will be sent out on our course.
And we'll start to shake ourselves out of this floating target.
Yes. We will feel the vibrations before they cause any appreciable damage. And the instant we are conscious of the action of the musical beam, I will pull this lever. That will drop the stern section off, and we will be safe.
Well, maybe you can see it.
You should see it also. It is very simple.
Okay, I'm simple then, but I still don't see it.
By dropping that section,
We changed the entire construction of this boat. We changed the Newtonian base.
The what?
The Newtonian base. Have you never heard of that?
Oh, afraid not.
Jerry, is it possible that in your world a young man may reach the age of 16 without learning of Sir Isaac Newton?
Oh, sure, I know all about Newton. He used to sleep under apple trees. One day an apple fell on his head and he figured out the law of gravity.
The story of the apple is probably fallacious. However, it is Newton's law to which I refer. The Newtonian base is the center of gravity.
Oh, all right. We'll argue about that some other time. I know what you mean, anyhow. When you drop off the tail section, you change the center of gravity of this boat. And that changes the musical note which will wreck the boat.
That is a crude explanation, but if you understand it, that will suffice.
Well, go on. When you change the center of gravity, you mix old Octavo all up. And then he's got to spend some more hours making noises with glasses of water until he finds a new musical note which they can broadcast to records.
That is it. Our safety depends on my ability to recognize the vibrations of the destructive beam the instant they strike us, and to distort them by losing the stern section.
Well, do we have to open the receiving side of this radio set to hear the beam coming?
It would be very simple if we could do that. Unfortunately, the note which will strike the vital center of this boat will be of such high frequency that the ear will not detect it.
Well, if we can't hear this thing coming, what can we do about it?
I've explained that over and over, Jerry. We will feel the vibrations. The submarine will actually start to break up, and then I will drop the stern section.
That's going to make it mighty close figuring. But if that's the best we can do, well, it's the best we can do.
Mother and the captain are coming.
Then they must have finished cleaning house back there.
I think we removed everything from that section.
Yeah, I know we did. We've got everything that wasn't part of the boat.
That is well. Now, if you will take your station and lock the safety devices on the steel chair.
Well, what's going to happen, Joan?
Get yourself anchored in that seat, Pat, and Joan can tell us what she has in mind.
I've secured my life belt.
I'm tied in.
Me too.
Excellent. Now, as I have explained to Jerry, we may expect an attempt to destroy this submarine any moment, any second. And when this attempt is made, the first indication of it will be a series of sharp and violent vibrations. We must be prepared to remain in our places and make no false moves. I will quickly cut off that stern section, thus changing the center of attraction in this boat and saving us from destruction.
Oh, we hope.
But, Joan, if you are afraid the Euclideans are going to send a destructive radio beam and our safety can be assured by dropping that stern section, why wait until they start sending out this beam?
This will be a constant musical note, Mother. And I am basing my plan of escape on the belief that Octavo is working to find the note which will destroy this boat as it now stands. If we were to change our structure before he strikes, he would know it instantly and would set about making ready to attack us as a smaller unit.
Well, that's sensible enough, Joan. Once he has sent out his constant note tuned to this sub, and you have thrown him out of range by dropping that section, he will be forced to start his experiments all over again, giving us at least a few hours in which to run for home.
Precisely, Captain.
You sure understand easy enough text.
Well, I have studied the destructive power of the musical note.
You and I seem to be the only ones completely in the dark on this, Jerry.
Sure looks like it, Mrs. Gregory. But if Joan and the captain know everything, we don't have to worry about knowing anything.
Silence.
Golly whiskers! Joan, you did it!
Good work, Joan. You saved the submarine.
Oh, Joan, that was wonderful. The boat was being shaken to pieces.
We were very near destruction for a few seconds. Now we are free. And as it should take Octavo several hours to find a new note for this smaller shell, we will utilize those hours by shooting to the surface and racing for Los Angeles.
Well, can you handle the boat now?
It will be difficult. Remain strapped in your seats. I will refuel with a double charge. We will travel vertically.
You mean you'll shoot this sub straight up through a mile and a half of water?
Precisely.
Boy, oh boy! Everybody hold on tight. We're going straight up.
Now the race for freedom is on in earnest. With Joan Gregory at the controls, the Solon Euclidean submarine is driving at full speed for the surface of the ocean. And that full speed is terrific. The submarine is capable of making over 40 miles an hour underwater. And added to this is the change in water pressure, which aids in shooting the boat straight up, almost as fast as a bullet shot out of a gun. Jerry, Mrs. Gregory, and the captain are excited by this ride and perhaps a little nervous. But they appear to be quite comfortable as they sit in their swinging steel chairs, securely fastened with safety belts. Joan is giving them some last-minute instructions as the submarine nears the surface.
As we prepare to level off near the surface, you will all be subjected to a sudden change of direction and of position. Do not allow yourselves to relax in those chairs. Brace your feet and hands firmly and remain rigidly a part of the structure of this submarine until I order otherwise.
Okay, Joan. I'll hang on to everything.
Aren't we in danger of bursting out of the water with such a force as to strain this boat to the breaking point?
Well, I think so. After all, you can't rush straight up through 9,000 feet of water and shoot out into the air without some action.
We will not leave the water entirely. I shall level off at 10 fathoms, and the remaining water will act as a cushion, breaking our rise gradually until we reach 6 fathoms. We will then proceed at that level.
Well, the air pressure inside this thing won't change, and if we can keep from getting thrown out of these steel chairs, I guess we'll still be here when we come out on top.
We are not coming out on top, and you know it.
Jerry meant when we level off, Joan.
We have no time for further discussion now. We are nearly to 10 fathoms. Hold your station. Brace yourselves well, and do not move until I give you permission.
Aye, aye, Skipper. I don't think I can speak.
You just did, Jerry.
Oh, then I can.
Well, Jerry, I too am surprised to learn that I can.
That was about the wildest bit of sailing I've ever gone through. Are we safely leveled off at 6 fathoms now?
We are, and proceeding along our course to Los Angeles.
Hey, we're not riding any too well.
That's to be expected, isn't it, Joan, with that stern section off?
Yes, Captain Bradford. Our sailing will be very rough at all times now. The submarine is hard to control without the stern stabilizing pins.
We're certainly flopping around like goldfish in a bowl, but we seem to be making good time.
The vibration is not as great at this speed as it would be at a lower rate.
Then for heaven's sake, don't slow down.
Are you uncomfortable, Mother?
I've really been more at ease a number of times, Joan, but I can stand it if the rest of you can.
When I think that we're getting away from that island, I can't imagine anything I couldn't stand.
That goes for me, too. Hey, Joan, how about using our radio now?
It would not be advisable. I hope that G-47 and Staley's will suppose this boat to be destroyed. And in their excitement, it is barely possible the scientists in the transmission chambers on Euclidia have failed to note our movement on their prism reflectors.
Well, I don't think those Euclideans ever miss anything.
They will probably locate us within a very short time.
But they won't be able to reach us with anything, will they, Joan?
Not to my knowledge. Though it is quite possible the G-47 did not let me see everything there was to be seen on Euclidia. There were secret chambers where only a few of the greatest scientists went.
What about this man who succeeded in getting to Johnson at our radio set, Staley? What would he be doing in America?
Acting as a Euclidean spy and learning what new developments in science were being used.
Would he be in constant communication with the island?
To be sure he would.
But how could he send messages to them? He'd have to have a radio set somewhere in the States, and his messages would be picked up all over the world.
He would be operating on a frequency which no worldly station could pick up, as you call it, Jerry.
Is that going on all the time, all over the world?
Euclidia has many agents, that I know, and their reports come in a constant stream to the island. But it is most unusual for a scientist as great as Thales to leave the island. Such work is usually delegated to minor scientists.
Looks like old G-47 figures we're pretty big stuff.
Big stuff?
Jerry is off on one of his non-English speaking tours. But he meant that we must be important enemies if Thales would personally set about to make trouble for us.
What do you suppose he could have done to Johnson?
Probably nothing at all. Certainly he will not have harmed him.
What makes you so sure of that?
Thales would know of some way to keep Mr. Johnson quiet for some time without hurting him. It is a strict policy with G-47 to have his agents refrain from creating disturbances.
Well, I'll bet he didn't take that radio set away from Johnson without creating something. I saw Johnson once myself, and he's a pretty husky-looking fellow.
I think you'll find you're mistaken this time, Joan.
In what way, Mother?
Johnson would protect us with his life if necessary, and he would have to put up a struggle before turning that radio set over to an agent of Euclidia.
That's right, Joan.
I imagine that Johnson and Thales have never seen each other.
You
will all remain silent.
No,
I said if you
Joan,
will all remain silent.
Well,
thank you. I will attempt to explain.
I wish you would.
we heard Johnson's voice over the radio, and then the reception became very poor. The radio sounded as if it had been knocked over or broken or something.
Yes, and then Johnson said that danger threatened him, and that the radio had been tampered with.
There's no other way to figure it, Joan. Thales was standing right over Johnson when he sent that message.
I know you are wrong, and I will prove it.
Well, you'll sure have to. Hey, hold this thing still.
That was a bad one.
Oh, it felt as if the boat were turning around.
We did waver slightly from our true axis course.
Wave slightly? Huh. I get tossed around like a canoe in a storm, and we wave slightly.
We are riding easily now, Jerry.
So go on with your explanation about Johnson and Thales.
Johnson did not say that danger threatened him. He said danger threatened our plan.
Why, yes, Joan, that's true.
And furthermore, Johnson did not sound as if he were engaging in a struggle. The radio was becoming uncertain, but Johnson's voice quality or his relation to the microphone did not change.
Say, I guess it didn't at that.
You were right so far, Joan. Go on.
You have progressed far enough with your own experiments, Captain Bradford, to realize that it would be a very simple matter to place a destructive solvent in Johnson's radio. A solvent which would be released and flow through the set, quickly ruining it.
Yes, that wouldn't be hard. And a clever man could find a chance to get into the radio room and do that.
But if Thales wasn't there with Johnson, how could he release this solvent just at the right moment to interrupt Johnson's message to us?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know. Why, he might have planned that stuff in the radio hours before it was used. And Johnson could have sent plenty of other messages.
Agreed. But I believe that Thales was listening constantly to Johnson's station at his own powerful equipment not far off. And when Johnson was talking to us, Thales allowed him to talk just long enough to trace the beam to our exact location and report that to Euclidia, which would take very few seconds. Then he would cut in on Johnson's wavelength, reverse his powerful beam, and release the destructive material he had placed in your set at Los Angeles.
Why, Joan, that's fantastic. Reversing a radio beam to destroy a set?
Euclideans have done it often successfully.
Boy, that's the best one yet.
Yes, but it's also one of the easiest ones to perform. Don't forget that explosives are set off by radio in daily experiments all over the world.
I'm not questioning the Euclideans' ability to do this, but we've had so many of these experiences that it seems almost more than a person can stand.
Oh, cheer up, Mrs. Gregory. We'll catch this fellow Thales when we get back home.
What is the population of Los Angeles?
Well, with Hollywood and the suburban communities, it's roughly 2 million.
Then your chances of laying hands on Thales are 1 in 2 million, if he is in Los Angeles.
You know, there must be plenty of easy jobs in this world. Why do we always pick all the hard ones?
I like hard jobs, Jerry. They're the most interesting. And after you make good on something difficult, you may honestly feel that you've really accomplished something.
Yes, and we've sure done that. Only a few short weeks ago, we left Los Angeles in search of Joan. And now Joan is skippering us back at the controls of a stowed Euclidean submarine.
This will be considered an important adventure in your world, then?
It better be. I want to see my picture on page 1 of every newspaper in the country.
I'm sure you'll get your wish, Jerry. But when your picture has been on page 1 as many times as mine, you'll get a little tired of it.
They'll be taking your picture also, Joan.
I should like that. I have never seen my picture.
Of course you have, dear. Don't you remember the picture I showed you the day I found you?
But I was only a year old when that picture was taken. I am now 15 years. Surely I do not look the same.
I'll say you don't.
Oh, Joan, dear. That was dangerous, wasn't it?
No, Mother. Uncomfortable, possibly.
Possibly nothing. Uncomfortably, for sure.
Joan, there's something I don't quite understand about these sudden wild swings the stern of the boat makes.
What is that, Captain?
Well, when we're running along at constant speed, the gas combustion chamber makes hardly a sound. But when the stern of this thing whips around out of control, there's a heavy burst that sounds like escaping air. How do you account for that?
Quite easily. When the stern is suddenly thrown around out of balance, and it will be so repeatedly without the stern section, when that occurs, the speed of the rear sections of the boat is so great during the short arc of movement that the gas bursting from the combustion chamber is actually going into a vacuum created by the boat.
No wonder I don't feel so good when those things happen. If we're flapping around fast enough to leave a hole in the water behind us,
Joan, is it safe for me to return to the sleeping quarters and lie down?
Of course, Mother.
Pat, are you ill?
Of course I'm not ill. Only I think I'll rest a little.
You look kind of white around the mouth, Mrs. Gregory. Are you seasick?
Seasick? Oh, not after 15 years on the water in my own boat, but I think I'll go.
What is the matter with Mother?
She is seasick, Joan, though she wouldn't admit it for the world.
What is seasick?
Well, it's something that happens to a lot of people on the water, but, well, it'll never happen to me. Oh!
What's the matter, Jerry?
Well, I think I'll take a little rest, if you don't need me right here now.
Poor Jerry. This is the first time I've ever seen him act like that. Well, Joan, it looks as if you and I are the only two real sailors on the submarine.
But it is so foolish to act as Mother and Jerry are acting. Captain, is there a mist or a fog in this boat?
Why, no, Joan. The air's clear as a bell in here.
That is strange. My vision is impaired. I have never felt just like this before. What could be the matter with me?
Well, I could tell you, Joan, but I'll let you guess. That leaves one good sailor. Joan, you better go back with the others and lie down. If I should happen to find that I'm no stronger than the rest of you, I don't want anyone here to laugh at me.
The program you are about to hear is largely fiction, science fiction. We make no guarantees, however, how long it will remain fiction.
Exploring tomorrow. And now here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell, Jr.
The problem of dealing with robots is a rather peculiar thing. You know, when you deal with another human being, you can say, well, you know what I mean. And you can say, yeah, I see what you mean. When you're dealing with a robot, though, you have a different situation. If you say, you know what I mean, the robot says, no, tell me. The trouble with the robot is that it will always do exactly what you tell it, whether it makes sense or not. It has no judgment whatever. For instance, an automobile is a robot. You tell it to drive straight ahead. It drives straight ahead, right into the concrete bridge abutment. It doesn't have any sense. Another thing, if we say home is the hunter, to a man this makes sense. We think of the poem as a quotation. What would such a phrase mean to a robot?
A report from James Martin, Special Agent to the Director of the United Nations Intelligence Service, February 19, 1993. Dear Chief, I hope you had a happy St. Valentine's Day. I wish I could say the same for myself. The way it looks now, the only Valentine I'll get will be one with my epitaph on it. I hope this report reaches you eventually. You may never get it, or if you do, I may be dead by then. Maybe it was a good idea to take this section of Europe and reform the country of Transylvania again, but right now I'm inclined to doubt it. Since Transylvania became a new country, there have been queer things going on here. As for your instructions, I got an appointment to see Baron Decklitz, the Prime Minister. When the appointment came through, I was met at the front door of my hotel by Colonel Bronwick, the head of the Transylvanian Secret Police.
Ah, Mr. Martin. I was instructed to escort you to Castle Decklitz. You have an appointment with the Baron, I believe.
Yes, that's right. And you are...
I am Colonel Bronwick at your service, Mr. Martin. Come. This is our limousine here at the curb.
Well, this is very kind of you, Colonel.
Kind? Not at all. It is my duty. You are an agent of the United Nations. It is therefore my duty to escort you about, especially when you are going to call on our Prime Minister, Baron Decklitz.
I see. I suppose we'll have to wait for your chauffeur.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Martin. This is a robot-operated automobile. Observe. I merely press this button.
Yes, Colonel Ron Blake.
Drive us to the Castle Decklitz.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Martin, do we not have all the modern conveniences here in Transylvania?
Oh, yes, very modern. You'll have telephones next. We have robot-operated machines in my country, too, Colonel, but I must admit that none of them are capable of talking as this one does.
You find that unusual?
Well, yes. A robot brain capable of conversation would be too large to fit in this automobile.
The brain is not in this car, Mr. Martin. This vehicle is guided by remote control. The actual brain of the robot is in an underground chamber beneath the Castle Decklitz.
Oh?
Yes. The Baron's castle may look on the outside as though it were 1,000 years old, but the equipment within is quite modern.
Well, I have to admit that it's pretty convenient to have robot-operated remote-controlled transportation.
All of the Baron's transportation works this way. His cars, his aircraft, his boats, everything.
Sounds as though Baron Decklitz runs the whole country by remote control. With a robot like that around, it's a wonder he needs any human helpers.
Mr. Martin, I will thank you not to criticize the government of Transylvania.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend. After all, I am supposed to be a diplomat.
You might try harder, Mr. Martin.
Why is the car slowing down, Colonel?
Do you see the portcullis? That heavy steel grate that closes the entrance? That, too, is controlled by the robot brain.
The Baron certainly seems to be well guarded.
Very well guarded, indeed, Mr. Martin. It is difficult for anyone to get into Castle Decklitz. It is even more difficult to get out.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment.
All of us as American citizens believe in our inherent liberties and freedoms, such as the freedom for educational, social, and economic opportunity. Our American system of education is the fertile soil which feeds the roots of democracy. By teaching us to think for ourselves, it has given us a deeper understanding of life around us and the ability to regulate our thoughts and opinions. But we must always be alert to the fact that with this freedom comes a responsibility, the responsibility of using our opportunities to their best advantage so that we benefit from them not only as individuals, but as a united nation. Accept that responsibility and ensure your freedom.
United Nations agent Jim Martin had managed to get an appointment to see Baron Decklitz, Prime Minister of the newly formed country of Transylvania. But now that he had gotten inside the Baron's castle, he was beginning to see what was wrong with the new country, because the castle itself was nothing more nor less than a huge robot. He had managed to get inside a robot.
That castle was a real nightmare. There were hidden television cameras everywhere, and they all relayed everything they saw to that big brain in the cellar. No matter where a man might go in that castle, he was never out of the sight of those robotic eyes. Colonel Bronlick escorted me into a big, comfortable, ultra-modern room, told me to help myself to the sherry, and left me to wait for Baron Decklitz. I went over to the bar. But there were no glasses there, no bottle of sherry. I thought that maybe the colonel was having a little joke, when suddenly a voice came from a wall speaker.
What would you like to drink, sir?
Oh, a glass of sherry.
Yes, sir. Your sherry, sir.
A panel slid open in the wall, and a glass of sherry came out.
Good evening, Mr. Martin. No. Don't bother to rise. Sit down. Now, how may I help you?
Good evening, Your Excellency. May I present my identification?
No, stop. Before you put your hand in your pocket, Mr. Martin, let me warn you not to try to draw a gun I assure you that if you tried it, you would be detected by my robot and you would be shot down where you stand long before you could aim your own gun. A robot can think and act much faster than a human being can, Mr. Martin.
Well, I didn't come here to kill you, Baron. I'm not an assassin. I'm here on United Nations business.
Yes, I am aware of that. I merely wanted to warn you. And now, please, your identification.
Yes, here it is, sir.
Thank you. Yes, that seems to be in order. Now, what business does the United Nations have with the Prime Minister of Transylvania?
Well, I'll be frank with you, Baron. There's something wrong here in Transylvania. The UN doesn't interfere with the internal government of its members unless the government is violating the basic rights of its citizens. Well, frankly, sir, Transylvania is doing just that.
You impudent young swine! Transylvania is a scientifically run country. It is run by mathematically logical principles. All decisions of the government are analyzed carefully by robotic computers.
Well, yes, but...
You think I make the policy for the country? No! All policy decisions are made by the robots, so that they can be scientifically accurate.
What happened? The lights went out.
The power has been cut off. Someone... Oh, Martin, you shot me. You cut off the power so my robot could not operate.
Baron.
I will get you, Martin.
When the lights came on again a second or two later, the Baron was sprawled on the floor. I looked around the room, but I couldn't see anyone. I hadn't shot the Baron. I didn't even carry a gun. Whoever had killed him made a clean getaway so far. I knew I had to get out of there, too. Just before the power went off, I'd been arguing with the Baron. When the robot came to, it would shoot me down with the hidden automatic guns in the walls. I had to get out of the castle decklets. When I got outside, I saw that the steel gate in the side wall of the castle was open. Nearby was the car that had brought us in. The keys were in the ignition. I got inside fast. I gunned the car toward the gate. Just as I came near, the gate began to close. And just as I went through the gate, it slammed shut. I breathed easier after that. At least I'd managed to get out of the castle decklets. But I'd forgotten one thing. When the car started to slow up, I pushed down harder on the accelerator. But it didn't help. Hey, what's going on? The car's turning around. I can't control it. It's taking me back to the castle.
A machine, no matter how complex and intelligent it may appear, is still a machine. The trouble with a machine is that once it's set to do a particular job, it doesn't do any good to argue with it. The only way to stop it is to shut it off or wreck it. Jim Martin was in no position to do either. It was kind of like being in an automatic elevator with the controls stuck. It was going where it was going, and there wasn't anything you could do about it.
I knew I'd have to get out of that car. It wasn't going very fast yet, so I decided to jump before it got up too much speed. I rolled across the road. It shook me up a little to jump out of a moving car, but I wasn't hurt. I got up, brushed off the dirt, and started down the road toward the city. I was about 5 miles away through the thick forest and about 6 miles by road. I decided to follow the road. I didn't want to get lost. I'd been walking about 10 minutes when I heard a noise. It was a helicopter coming from the direction of the castle. I got off the road fast and hid under a tree. It was dark, and even with the moon shining, it would have been hard for a human being to spot me from the air. But the television eyes of that helicopter were sharper than human eyes. The robot saw me.
You must come back to the castle, sir.
Not me, Buster.
The helicopter will land. You will get in.
The moon lit up the helicopter pretty well. I could see the snouts of the mounted machine guns pointing at me, but I didn't care. I figured that going back to the castle would be certain death anyway. I jumped behind the tree and then dived under a nearby bush and started crawling.
Where are you? You must come back.
I just lay flat and kept quiet. And then I heard another sound on the road. There was a car coming.
Robert! This is Colonel Braunlick. I noticed the helicopter hovering, so I came immediately. Is the murderer Martin nearby?
Yes, he is somewhere in the woods to your right.
Excellent. I have a squad of men here. We will capture him.
Yes, he must go back to the castle.
All right, men. Spread out. Cover the whole area. He must be somewhere close by. Turn on the searchlight.
I knew they'd spot me soon. There was a spotlight moving near me. I decided that my only chance was to run for it. If I stayed where I was, I'd die. Here goes.
There he is! Stop him! Shoot him down!
It was the craziest gun battle I'd ever seen. Before the soldiers could shoot me, the helicopter's weapons had gunned them down. And while it was doing that, Colonel Braunlick had climbed back into his armored car and shot down the helicopter with the turret gun. And by the time the whole thing was over, I was well hidden in the underbrush. Pretty soon I heard the armored car drive away. But I just stayed where I was. It didn't make sense. Why had the robot's helicopter shot down the soldiers? Whose side was the robot on, anyway? I decided that since everything was quiet now, I'd better get moving. I wanted to get to the city by dawn. So I crawled out from my hiding place and headed for the road again. I didn't get far.
Put up your hands, Mr. Martin.
Colonel Braunlick, I didn't see you behind that tree. I thought you'd driven off in the armored car.
Oh, no. As soon as I shot down the helicopter, the robot brain took control of the car. I jumped out.
I suppose you're going to shoot me like you shot the Baron?
Of course. The robot is convinced that you killed the Baron. And so will the people of Transylvania be convinced. And I will proclaim myself the new Prime Minister.
No wonder this country's in trouble. The Baron was a crackpot, and so are you. What? Well, looks like the robot has another helicopter to operate.
Good. The robot can kill you and save me the trouble.
Well, I don't think so. Have you figured out why the other helicopter shot down your men instead of shooting down me?
An accident. The robot could not see well in the dark. Perhaps I should not have shot it down, but it was obviously faulty.
Oh, you're not thinking straight tonight, Colonel.
You must get in the helicopter, Mr. Martin. You must go back to the castle.
Oh, well, I'm afraid I can't do that. If I move, the Colonel will shoot me.
That cannot be permitted.
Well, thanks, Robert, old boy. That's the end of the man who shot the Baron.
That does not concern me. My orders are to bring you back alive. Get in the helicopter, please.
Anything you say, pal. Let's go. The helicopter took me back to the Castle Decklitz. When it landed in the courtyard, the robot had more orders for me.
Go into the main hall. The Baron wants you.
I walked back to the room where the Baron had been shot. My hunch had been right. The Baron, stubborn old cuss, had refused to believe that he was dying. He wanted to teach me a lesson. So he'd given the robot orders to bring me back alive. Alive. So that meant that if anyone threatened my life, the robot would have to stop them. And it used its automatic machine guns to do it. It didn't matter to the robot that the Baron was dead. As long as the Baron's hand was on that control button, the robot had to obey its orders. It had hunted me down and brought me back. I walked over to the control panel and talked into the microphone. Robot, you will obey my orders now.
Yes, sir.
Very well. As soon as I leave here, you will cease operation. You will turn yourself off. You will never operate again. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now I'm going to go out and take one of the Baron's cars. He won't need it. Well, that about winds up the report, Chief. I hope I'll be able to deliver it to you. I'm in my hotel room right now, but there's rioting in the streets outside. Transylvania has been turned upside down. Nobody knows who killed their Prime Minister, Baron Decklitz, nor do they know who machine-gunned Colonel Braunlick. But the worst trouble is with the robot. You see, the Baron had the idea he could run the whole country with the robot. It was supposed to be a scientific form of government. That robot ran almost everything in the whole area. It controlled the power plants, the telephones, transportation, even the garbage disposal. And ever since it shut itself off, nothing has worked in the whole country. As a result, Transylvania has no government and no organization. The idea of running a government by machine was a failure.
The trouble with a lot of very logical and honest people is that they think that logic is both necessary and sufficient, when it's really only necessary. The idea of a machine government was a failure. It always will be. Now, the trouble with the Baron was that he forgot one basic thing. It's sane for men to run machines, but it's insane for a machine to run men. Machines can handle truth and do a perfect job of it, but they cannot handle judgment. They have none.
Heard in our cast tonight were Larry Haynes and Don Douglas. Script was by Randall Garrett. Produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. Bill Maher speaking.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, whose friend Batman has completely and mysteriously disappeared from the Hall of Mirrors. Because she bears a striking resemblance to Dixie Lamar, a girl wanted for murder, Lois Lane was abducted in an amusement park by Dr. Bly, the cunning leader of Dixie's confidence gang, who schemed to pin the murder on Lois. Meanwhile, Clark Kent and Batman were hunting for the girl reporter and for Jimmy Olsen and Dick Grayson, who was really Robin, Batman's young companion, both of whom had disappeared in the amusement park. Spotting a white-haired man in dark glasses, whom they suspected of being involved in the mystery, Kent and Batman pursued him into the Hall of Mirrors, where they became lost in the maze of glass. Suddenly, a trapdoor opened beneath Batman's feet, and he cried out and disappeared. As Kent searches desperately, his X-ray vision unable to penetrate the lead backing of the mirrored floor, Batman, plummeting down through inky black space, lands in a deep vat of ice-cold water. Listen.
Whoa. Must have landed in somebody's ice-cold water cooler. It's over my head, too.
Batman, is that you?
Great Lucifer. Robin, where are you?
Give me a hand, will you?
Where are you, Robin? I can't see a thing.
Over here. Hurry up.
Hang on, Robin. You're right over. Well, Robin, is Miss Lane with you?
Oh, I don't know where she is. The phony skeleton grabbed her in the tunnel on the river.
I know. Okay, Robin, I'll take you. Let me have it. There.
Oh,
I've got him.
I couldn't have held out much longer.
Robin, he's as limp as a rag. Well, now his heart's beating.
I think he bumped his head when somebody pulled the floor out from under him.
Oh, wait till I get a good hold on Jimmy. There. I'll keep his head up above water. So you took a trip through the trap door, too, huh?
We didn't even have to buy a ticket. We fell for a gag by a guy named Hemingway. And I do mean we fell. He came up to us right after we called you and Mr. Kent and said that what happened in the tunnel was a joke. And he'd take us to Miss Lane.
And he took you into the House of Mirrors and dropped you down through the trap door, is that right?
That's right. Listen, I don't know what this is all about, Batman, but it's got a nasty smell.
Well, we'll find out. As soon as we get out of here.
If we get out.
We will, don't worry. Well, we seem to be in Some kind of a tank, judging by these rounded cement walls.
Yeah. I managed to navigate myself and Jim around it once.
Oh?
Oh, that's warm. Cold. My arms and legs are chunks of ice.
Robin, we've got to get Jim out of here and hurry. Not to mention ourselves. Listen. What's that?
A giant roller coaster. It goes by about once a minute. But it doesn't stop here to pick up passengers.
Well, it's gone. Now, look. We'll yell and hope somebody hears us. That might be faster than trying to find our own way out. It's black as the ace of spades in here.
I yelled plenty when Jim and I checked in. But all I got back is an echo.
Well, I've got a good pair of lungs. All right, now together, Robin. Help!
Help!
Help! Help! No soap, I'm afraid. All these concrete walls hold the sound in. Well, Robin, there's only one solution. Hang on to my cape.
What do you plan to do?
Get out of this overflowing bathtub, of course.
Yeah. From where I sit, the only way out is by the trap door we came in.
I'll stop raving, Robin. Judging by the time it took me to fall, we're 50 or 60 feet below the House of Mirrors. Oh, what's that?
I think it's the trick ice water showers in the House of Mirrors. You know, you step on a panel or something and get doused with ice water.
Yes, but it sounded right close by.
Sure. The water splashes back down here in this tank. It scared me out of his ears throat. I swam under it a little while ago.
Oh? Oh, wait, Robin.
Oh, I've got all the time in the world.
Now, listen. Since the water drops back in here, instead of being allowed to run off as drainage, this tank must supply the trick showers upstairs.
Sure. So what?
So there must be a pipe running upstairs from here. There goes that roller coaster again. Hang on, Robin. We'll find that pipe and climb out. I'll do the swimming. Now you keep your hands on the wall.
Okay, but... Oh, damn it, shower. Reminds me of how cold I am. I hate to say so, Batman, but it's getting awful numb.
Just keep kicking hard. That'll keep your blood circulating.
What blood? Stick a pin in me and all you'll get is icicles. I'm worried about Jim. A little more of this cold storage will never get him thawed out.
Well, I'm worried, too. Plenty. Any sign of a pipe yet?
No. Maybe it's inside the wall. Well, come to think of it, most pipes are.
Well, let's not think about that.
Batman.
What's the matter?
I can't close my hands. My fingers are frozen.
Tread water. Keep your hands together.
I can't tread water. My feet. I can't move them. They're numb.
I'll hold you. Take it easy. Poor kid, you're chilled to the bones.
You can't hold Jim and me both.
Yes, I can. Just keep rubbing your hands together. I'll try to move your feet.
Okay. But how are you going to find the pipe now if there is a pipe?
Don't worry about it. I left Ken upstairs. He might be able to trace us.
Unless Hemingway got him, too.
Well, let's hope he didn't.
Oh, Batman, you're shivering, too.
Well, not much. I'm okay.
You are not. You better let me go and swim around and try to find that pipe.
Don't be a chump.
No, listen. Jim must be in worse shape than I am. Let me go.
Well, you keep quiet, Robin. Kent might trace us. Well, if he doesn't...
Then it's curtains.
No. When it gets light, I'll find a way out.
Are you kidding? It won't be light for hours yet. By that time...
Now, cut it out, Robin, and help me yell. That might warm you up.
What's the use, Batman? You know we're done for.
Well, I'll admit it looks bad, but... Well, we've been in bad spots before, Robin.
It's never as bad as this.
Well, never mind. Now, come on, yell. Now, together.
Help!
Holding Robin and the unconscious Jimmy Olsen in the icy water, Batman, his great strength waning, shouts for help as the giant roller coaster, as if in grim irony, thunders by outside and drowns his and Robin's cries. We'll return in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, here again is our good friend.
You know, gang, it's a doggone easy to get those swell insignia and warplane buttons I've been telling you about. Seems like you must have dozens of them collected by now. Why, you don't have to spend any of your allowance for them. You don't have to bother with any box tops. You don't even go to the store and buy them. No, sir. They come as prizes in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Each button is enameled sparkling white with the insignia reproduced in brilliant red and yellow and blue and black. And you can be mighty proud of them, too, because they're the very same designs our Air Force men wear on their uniforms. Yes, sir. Ask Mom to get you a package of Kellogg's Pep. Then look inside for your prize, an exciting insignia or warplane button. Yes, sir. You'll find a button in every package. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep.
made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman.
As Batman, Robin, and Jimmy Olsen faced death in a tank of ice water under the Hall of Mirrors, Clark Kent, his X-ray vision unable to penetrate the lead backing of the mirrored floor, scratched a mark at the approximate spot where Batman disappeared. Then, searching 50 feet in one direction through the winding mirrored maze, he returned to the mark and searched 50 feet in the other direction. Now he has returned again to the mark.
See, now, Batman was right behind me when he disappeared. Couldn't have been hit on the head and dragged away. I would have seen him. And I've made sure there are no false corridors around here. Wait a minute. There's only one explanation. He must have dropped through a trap door. Now, there's nobody around, so off with these clothes. I think I hear voices down below shouting for help. This looks like a job for
Superman. There we are, all set. Now to break through this pretty mirrored floor. I hate to do it, but whoever owns this place must be in on this deal, so here goes. Batman, Robin, and Jim, look out below! Okay, boys, everything's under control. Who is it? Don't you recognize my voice, Batman?
Superman.
That's right.
Stratton, pink Superman.
Here, I'll take Jim. Uh-oh. What's the matter with him?
Well, he bumped his head, Superman. This cold water hasn't helped him any.
There's a medical aid station in the amusement park. Under this arm with you, Robin. Okay, hang on, Batman.
Right. Let her rip.
No time to waste. We'll go right through the wall of this basement. Stay under my cape now. Here goes.
Leaping from the dark concrete tank with Jimmy and Robin cradled in his arms and Batman clinging to his cape, Superman crashes through the wall of the basement and streaks for the medical aid station. Leaving Batman and the two boys there, the Man of Steel rockets away again, circling above, his keen eyes searching the ground below. Finally, unable to find either Lois Lane or the man with white hair and dark glasses, he drops to the ground behind the medical aid station, resumes his guise and garb of Clark Kent, and walks to the door just as Batman emerges.
Batman! Kent, what happened to you?
I got lost in the Hall of Mirrors.
Well, good thing you didn't go through that trap door with me.
What?
Yes, I landed in a vat of ice water with Dick Grayson and Jimmy Olsen.
Oh?
Yes, if it hadn't been for Superman.
Yeah, I heard about it. Listen.
Kent, I've got bad news for you.
What is it?
I just spoke to Inspector Henderson.
Yes?
I called him to come out here and help us look for Miss Lane. And, well, he told me Miss Lane has been found.
She has? Oh, where? How is she?
Kent, she's in the city jail.
The city jail?
That's right. She's locked up there.
But why?
This is going to be hard to take, Kent.
What is it? Tell me.
Miss Lane is being held for murder.
Murder?
Yes, Kent. Murder.
Lois, held for murder. Is this some ghastly joke, or is Batman serious? He's serious, all right, as we all know. Dr. Bly's sinister trap has evidently been sprung, and poor Lois has been caught in its cruel jaws. What will happen now? Don't miss tomorrow's dramatic episode, fellows and girls. Tune in, same time, same station, and thrill to the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Transcribed. Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Stand by to raise ship. Blast off minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0! Roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
While Astro was held prisoner by mysterious smugglers on the planet Venus, his renegade cousin Mirko impersonated him at Space Academy. Managing to escape, Astro returned to the Academy where he, Tom Corbett, and Roger Manning captured Mirko. Now the three cadets have been summoned to the quarters of Commander Arkwright.
Astro, the Solar Alliance has requested you to undertake a highly important but extremely dangerous mission.
Me, sir?
Cadets Corbett and Manning, your cooperation is also requested.
I'm ready, sir.
Same here. What's the mission, sir?
As you know, Mirko was caught smuggling out Neo-RDX, the most powerful explosive in the universe. He's confessed that the explosives are to be used in a bigger operation, raiding the space lanes.
Raiding? You mean piracy, sir?
Exactly. Mirko had a supra-high-frequency transmitter by which he contacted Beale from the Academy. This morning, intelligence persuaded Mirko to contact Beale. This is a tape recording of their conversation.
FC-394, Mirko calling Beale. FC-394, Mirko calling Beale. Come in, Beale.
Beale here. I've been trying to contact you, Mirko. Astro got away.
Yes, I know. He was here.
What?
Luckily, the fool came to the dormitory first. I was there alone, and I took care of him. We'll never have to worry about my dear, stupid cousin again.
Well, that's a relief. Nice work, Mirko.
Now, listen. I'm hiding the stuff aboard the rocket cruiser Polaris tonight. I've already given you the rocket schedule.
Right. We'll be ready to pick it up. Oh, wait just a minute. Stand by.
Right here, Beale was apparently interrupted, perhaps by the leader of the operation who gave him other instructions. You'll hear him again in a minute.
But, sir, what did Mirko mean? He took care of me.
We instructed him to say that, Astro. If Beale and the others believed you were dead, they'd feel safe in continuing to work with Mirko. Then, we could put a dummy package aboard the Polaris, and intelligence officers could grab the gang when they picked it up.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, now, Mirko, listen sharp.
Go ahead, Beale.
Here's what you do. Since you're in that Polaris unit, you can bring the stuff out yourself.
Bring it myself? You mean to Venusport?
Well, now, maybe we ain't there no more.
Where are you?
We ain't quite settled on a place yet. We've got the Polaris schedule, so someplace along the line, one port or another, you'll be contacted.
Which port?
Ain't quite sure of that, neither. You just get yourself away from Corbett and Manning on all the spaceports, and we'll be in touch with you. So long, Mirko. See you later.
All right, that's the end of the recording. Now, do you understand your assignment, Astro?
I think so, sir. Mirko posed as me. Now you want me to pose as him and make contact with the gang.
Right. Find out all you can about them and their plans. But I must warn you, this assignment is extremely dangerous. They're obviously suspicious. That's why they want to see Mirko.
I realize that, sir.
So, you may refuse the assignment if you wish.
Refuse it? Not me.
Thank you. Cadets Corbett and Manning, you have the same choice. You needn't accompany Cadet Astro if you prefer not to.
I'll let that hillbilly get his neck in a sling without us? Not in a million years. I beg your pardon, sir.
I understand, Manning. Cadet Corbett?
Count me in, sir, naturally.
Very well, then, cadets. You've made your decision, and I must say I'm proud of you. You will prepare to blast off in 2 hours. Use your heads and try to come home safely. Now, goodbye. And spaceman's luck to you all.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Tom Corbett, Astro, and Roger Manning are just about to blast off on another adventure in outer space. There they go. Say, how'd you like to have a picture of that? A picture that would show your favorite space cadets in action. You can, you know. All you have to do is collect the Space Cadet picture cutouts you'll find on the back of every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. Soon you'll have picture cutouts of all the Space Cadets. You can cut them out and use them in your own Space Cadet adventures. Here's the latest special prize you get with every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. Just look on the back of the package. Right there, you'll see a swell picture made from an actual photograph. Each cutout is a full-length picture, too, so you can see the official Space Academy uniform.
you see Dr. Dale in her full-dress uniform. Another package shows you Roger Manning wearing a spacesuit, the same kind the cadets wear out in space or on another planet. Astro and Tom are in uniform, too, all ready for you to set up in a Space Cadet scene. And remember, that picture cutout comes with the best-tasting whole wheat and malt cereal you ever tasted. Just rustle those flavorful wheat flakes into your cereal bowl tomorrow morning. You'll say the swellest cereal in the whole solar system is Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
In an attempt to discover the whereabouts and identity of a gang of men who plan to raid the space lanes, Tom, Roger, and Astro volunteer for a supposedly routine training flight in the rocket cruiser Polaris, hoping to lure the gang into a trap.
Well, this is Marsport. Here's your last chance to be a hero, Astro.
Nothing happened on Luna or Venus, and nothing will happen here either, Roger.
It certainly won't if Roger and I keep you surrounded like this. Listen, Astro, we'll kind of evaporate. You make like Mirko and amble around the spaceport alone.
I've ambled around almost every spaceport in the inner solar system, Tom, and all I've got to show for it is sore feet.
That's the only place you've got any feeling, Leadhead.
Come on, Roger.
But don't worry, Astro. We'll be near to protect you.
Go blow your jets. Well, here we go again.
Hey, got a match?
Sorry.
Michael?
Oh, maybe I have.
Here, take these matches. Light one for me.
Oh, okay. You're making the contact?
I ain't out for the walk. Hey, watch it. You almost sprained me. What are you so nervous about?
Oh, I was thinking. Corbett and Manning. They're around here someplace.
Don't worry about them. Now listen. Walk around behind that far hangar. You'll see a little guy waiting there. Go with him. Well, go on. What are you waiting for?
What about Corbett and Manning?
I said forget about them. You just get going and lead them to us. We'll take care of them good.
Hey, Tom, look. Astro's leaving the spaceport. He's ducking behind that hangar.
Uh-huh.
I think he's made contact. Come on, Roger, after him.
Hey, just a minute, fellas. Got a match?
No, sorry.
How about you?
No, let go of my arm.
You don't have to get so uppity. I just asked you.
All right, and I told you. Now blow, will you?
You'll show you fresh punks. Hey, fellas!
Hey, what gives?
Look, Roger, those three men. Pile in, boys. Watch yourself, Roger.
I can handle these jokers with one hand.
Get him, fellas. Slug him. Hey, the spaceport policeman. Come on, let's get out of here.
Come back here, you yellow space rats. What are you afraid of?
Knock it off, Roger. Let's get after Astro.
Astro? Jumping Jupiter. I almost forgot about him. Let's blast.
He went around this hangar.
See him? No sign of Astro anywhere, Tom. What do we do now?
Nothing we can do but go back to the Polaris and hope Astro shows up. Here he is, Bill. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Okay. You can take his blindfold off now, Nicky.
There you are, Michael.
Hey, what's the idea, Bill? They made me keep this blindfold on all the way from Marsport.
Well, now, lad, we couldn't take no chances. You might be the other one.
Astro? Well, this should make you change your mind.
The ORDX?
That's right. Convinced now?
Let's see.
Well?
Yeah. This looks like the stuff, all right. Well, you know how it is, Mirko. We had to make sure. This is a big deal we're in. Real big.
Yeah, I know. Listen, Bill, when do we start operating?
That's none of your business, Mirko.
Oh, now, look, why all the secrecy with me? I'm risking my neck for you guys. I even killed a man.
You're being well paid for it. Here. Here's your money.
Oh, thanks.
Nicky will take you back to your ship. When you get back to the academy, contact me and I'll tell you where to pick up the next load. Now I know you're okay, we'll carry on the way we started.
Okay. So long, Beale.
Be good, kid. Yeah, Beale here.
Beale, this is Valdor.
Yes, sir. Did you watch him through the teleceiver I hooked up?
Yes, he looked like Mirko.
Sure. I guess we were too suspicious.
Well, wait. Did you notice he didn't try to get more out of you this time? He didn't even count what you gave him.
Yeah. See, that's right. He's okay, though. He brought us the Neo RDX.
Place it directly in front of the teleceiver lens so I can see it clearly.
It's the right stuff.
Do as I tell you.
Okay, Valdor. See? It's the right
Where
stuff.
are the detonators?
Huh?
The detonators, you fool. That explosive can't be set off without the special detonators.
We ain't here.
Get Mirko back, hurry.
Too late. They just took off.
There's a radio in the jet boat. Call Nicky at once and tell him to bring Mirko back.
Roger, wait!
Roger, look. It's Astro. The old Venusian hillbilly himself. Space boy, we were worried about you. We're in blazes.
Look, fellas, no time to talk now. We gotta blast off fast. Come on.
Why? What's the rush? What happened?
Beale must have noticed by now I didn't bring the detonators. I pulled the audio wire in Nicky's jet boat so Beale couldn't call him, but they might have other contacts here. Come on. Climb into the airlock and let's blast.
All right now, Astro. Let's find out if you're still in the gang's confidence. Contact Beale.
Yes, Commander Arkwright.
And you two boys, stay absolutely quiet.
Yes, sir. FC-394, Mirko calling Beale. Come in, Beale. FC-394, Mirko to Beale. Come in.
Beale here. Listen, Mirko, what happened to the detonators?
Oh, they're wide.
Quiet, Roger. The what?
The detonators. The little ball-like caps made out of vanadium. The explosive's no good without them.
I don't know anything about them, Beale.
You must have got them with the Neo RDX.
All I found in the locker was the package I brought up to you.
Sure?
Positive.
Blast those jokers. They've messed it up then. Well, they'll have to get us a double supply this time. Now listen, Mirko. Here are your orders.
Go ahead.
Thursday night, you slip out of the academy. At 9:40, a westbound monorail leaves the village heading for Atom City. Get on it. Sit in the second car from the end. Up then.
A westbound monorail at 9:40 Thursday. Right. Then what?
You'll be contacted on the car. When you get the stuff, secure it behind the rudder assembly on the next Academy rocket ship, making a training flight to main solar ports. Then relay is scheduled to me. Check?
Check.
Right then. That's all. So long, Mirko.
You know, Tom, riding around the monorail train like this is a lot of fun. But has any one of these monorails ever fallen off the track?
Well, not that I know of.
Well, looks kind of dangerous hanging from that one rail going at this speed.
Relax, will you?
We've got bigger worries. Hey, we're slowing down. Think maybe something will happen here?
Let's hope so.
Where's Astro?
Still in the car ahead. Oh, keep your face in that newspaper now. We're stopping.
Not too many people getting on.
But one important guy is getting on.
Who?
Nicky, that character that picked a fight with us at Marsport.
Oh, great.
Roger, Nicky just motioned to Astro.
Yeah, and Astro's getting up, walking to the door.
Nicky's right alongside. They're getting off. Come on.
We getting off, too?
What do you think? Hurry.
But Nicky may spot us.
We'll have to take that chance. Maybe if we move fast enough and duck behind one of the station pillars, he won't.
Might work. It's kind of dark out there.
Move fast, Roger.
All set.
Come on. Down these steps. Duck behind here and hold still.
Right. You see Astro?
Wait a minute. Hey!
What's the matter?
Nicky tricked us. He and Astro didn't get off.
Jumping Jupiter. There goes the monorail. And Astro's on it.
What's the matter with you, Nicky? Can't you make up your mind? Why did we get off?
Because I changed my mind. That's why, Mirko. Now move up into the front car.
Why?
'Cause I tell you.
Wait a minute. Who do you think you're ordering around?
You, Buster. You think I didn't recognize those two jokers in the back car? They were Corbett and Manning.
What? But I didn't...
Yeah, I know. You said you ducked them. But I just made sure you did. Now move.
Well, what's in the front car?
Exactly what you're after, Michael. And maybe a little more. Okay, cross over.
Well, what now? There's nobody here.
Sure there is, Mecco, my boy.
Bill. Well, you fellas sure do a lot of traveling.
This trip was worth it. I made it special. Just to introduce you to someone you've been wanting to meet.
Who?
The name is Valdor.
Valdor?
Yes, Beale tells me you've been rather curious about me.
You're the head of this whole operation.
That's right, Marco, and I must confess I've been curious about you, too.
You have?
Yes, and the answer to one question will satisfy my curiosity, Marco.
Oh, well, go ahead. Shoot.
When and where did you meet our friend Beale?
Why, it was back home on Venus. We did a job together, and that's all.
It certainly is for you, Astro.
Why, you dirty space crawler.
Watch him.
I am. Hold still, big boy.
I'll burn a hole through you with this heat ray.
So you thought you could trap me, Astro, by using the same trick by masquerading as your cousin Mirko?
You're already trapped, Valdor. The Solar Guard knows all about you.
How could they when you didn't even know?
Tom and Roger saw me on this monorail, and they saw Nicky, too.
Your friends are far behind, and when they finally catch up to you, it'll be too late.
You think so, huh?
I know so. In a very few minutes, we will pass over a high chasm. There'll be a drop of some 400 or 500 feet, and this spells an accident. An extremely fatal accident.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Listen to those giant presses. They're turning out completely new packages for the Kellogg Company. Each package is in bright new colors, gay new pictures. And do you know what's going into those packages? Kellogg cereals. A big selection of the world's finest breakfast foods, yours in new picture packages. You want to see all the new faces on the Kellogg's. You want to try all the swell Kellogg cereals. And just for an example, listen to this. On the back of every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep, there's a picture of one of the Space Cadets or Dr. Dale. It's a full-length picture cutout showing one of the official Space Academy uniforms. You can get as many as 4 different picture cutouts because different Pep packages have different cutouts. But one thing is still the same, and that's the swell whole wheat cereal you get inside. See other Kellogg packages at your game.
Did you see what play? In brand new boxes, bright and gay, these famous cereals come your way. Go see this eyeful. The Kellogg's All-Star Breakfast Show has a cheerful look, a lift for you. Starts you off with a hoop-de-doo. Kellogg's for breakfast and a happy, happy day. Get a big supply today.
Yes, get a big supply today of the great Kellogg cereals in their bright new boxes.
As the monorail trail hurtles through the night, suspended from a single gleaming rail and rapidly nears a wide, deep chasm, Astro faces death at the hands of the men he tried to trap. But meanwhile, some distance behind in a single monorail car speeding along a parallel track, Tom and Roger try desperately to catch up to their friend.
Can't you make this old crate go faster, Tom?
She's wide open, Roger. Don't worry, we're picking up time on that train.
They still say we should have commandeered an autojet. We would have caught up by now.
And how would we have gotten aboard the train? No, Commander Arkwright picked the best idea. Lucky this work car was parked on a siding at that last station.
Well, all right, but suppose another train shows up on this track. We'll be in great shape then.
The commander said he'd see that all traffic was cleared for us. Now stop griping, will you?
Okay, but blasted, I wish we'd spot that train.
Wait, there it is. See those red lights?
Great Galaxy, that's it. Come on, we've got to catch up. We can't miss now.
Close to the chasm. Less than a minute away.
Very good. Open this side door, Beale, and you, Nicky, stand by the door between the cars. See that none of the passengers interrupt us.
All right, Valdor. Door's open, Valdor.
Thank you, Beale. Move up to it, Astro. Oh, no, I won't. Take your choice. Jump by yourself or be thrown out. All right, big shot. You throw me if you can. Easily done. Beale, the parallel ray. Freeze him first.
Wait a minute, Aldo. It's another monorail catching up on the next track. Someone in the front cabin. It's that cadet, Corbett.
Tom!
And the other one's leaning out of the side door. The car's coming alongside.
Gangway! Stop him quickly! Come on, Astro! Jump for it!
No, you don't.
Out of my way, Junior!
Come on, Astro! What are you waiting for?
Not a thing, pal. Here I come! Well, if it hadn't been for you guys, I'd be flying through 500 feet of nothing right now. Those guys really meant business.
Well, they're going bankrupt in a few minutes, Astro. As soon as their monorail stops at the next station, they'll get an escort of honor. A squad of solar guards.
Suppose he jumped the train before that.
Now, where'll they jump? Straight down? Not a chance. The whole gang is wrapped up for good.
Hey, those words are music to my ears. Jupiter, I'm glad this operation is over.
It isn't yet, Astro. Tom and I saw another one of your relatives, and he looked real mean.
What? Where?
Early this evening, when we passed the zoo.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, when Tom and Roger are ordered to guard a huge sum of money and find themselves blasting through space with an escort of death. Tune in, same time, same station on Tuesday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal.
Spaceman, this is Tom Corbett. Thousands of families have been driven from their homes by the floods in the Midwest, and they need our help now. And money from you and your parents will help them in this terrible emergency. So give to the Red Cross.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in today's cast were Jan Merlin, Al Markham, Carter Blake, Joe DeSantis, and Gilbert Mack. Today's program was written by Ben Peter Freeman, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal all in one box. And no other raisin brand but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. The preceding was transcribed. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting.
You are speeding through the Turkish night on the Taurus Express. You are alone and unarmed, and somewhere on the train is a calm killer from whom you must escape.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to Turkey and the Taurus Express, which carries a shipment of death. As Harold Lamb told it in his exciting story, 3 Good Witnesses.
I took the Taurus Express that night because I was going home. Back to the United States. Back to California. And my routine job at the oil company. 2 days before, I'd given my final report to our State Department man in Istanbul. A negative report.
Mr. Ward, your considered opinion is that there is no oil in this area?
Not enough to be worth drilling for. Not at this late date. War'd be over before we could get out 10,000 barrels.
You're being optimistic, Mr. Ward. War isn't over yet. Who can say when it will be?
Well, that's true, but...
what does Arvark say?
He agrees with me completely. So does Wyndham, the British engineer. We're all agreed.
3 good witnesses, huh? Well, then that settles it.
What do you mean, 3 good witnesses?
Oh, that's an old saying out here in the Middle East. Come from the Arabs, I think. In their old law, the testimony of 3 independent and trustworthy witnesses was enough to establish the guilt or innocence of an accused person.
But why 3?
I suppose 2 witnesses to a crime might tell the same lie. But if 3 fellas tell the same story, well, it must be true.
Maybe. Now, I suppose the odds against 3 making up the same story would be high, but I don't know whether I'd like to trust my neck with that kind of justice.
Yeah, it is a little different from the justice back home in Chattahoochee County. I imagine you'll be wanting to get back to the States as soon as possible.
Indeed, I do.
Well, I can put you on the Taurus Express Wednesday. You'll be in Cairo by Saturday. Get an ATC plane that'll have you in Washington 3 days later.
Istanbul to Washington in less than a week. It's a small world, isn't it? So I was booked on the Taurus Express, leaving Istanbul on Wednesday night. I got to the station late, and as I walked down the long platform toward the first-class carriages, I sensed a tenseness in the crowd. First, I couldn't explain it. Then I noticed that the platform was alive with police. They stood at the door of every car, motionless, solemn-faced, carefully scrutinizing everyone who got aboard. And it seemed that everyone on that bustling platform was aware of them. I found my car near the front of the train. A policeman stood at the open door. I paused to verify the car number, and suddenly I heard a voice at my elbow.
I thought I had missed you.
A pair of arms twined around my neck. A pair of lips were kissing me. Pushed her away to try to see her face, but she clung to me. Tried to say something, but she kept talking so fast I couldn't get a word in.
How could you do this to me? To run off without even saying goodbye? I must be with you right up to the last minute, my darling.
Last I could see her. She was beautiful. Very young and very beautiful. Turkish or Greek, I couldn't tell which, but lovely.
Why? You must let me go on the train with you. See you safely to your compartment. I cannot bear it.
Madame, I'm afraid you're making a mistake.
Please, you must help me. I will explain.
But I...
Come, you will miss the train. I will see you safely on board. Come, hurry, so we may say our last goodbye in privacy.
This last was thrown over her shoulder to the policeman standing there. She pulled me up the steps into the car. He stared at us, but he said nothing. In a moment, we were standing in the deserted corridor.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank
you.
Now,
look here, young lady. What is all this?
It is the fault of those police standing up there. I could not get into the car alone.
But why not?
This is a first-class car. Only rich foreigners ride in first-class compartment. I could see by your clothes you were American. I knew you would help me.
But why did you want to get into this car, especially?
Because I...
Suddenly she stopped, and her eyes were riveted on something behind my back. I turned to see a swarthy young man staring at us from the other end of the car. He was dressed in the uniform of a train conductor. Slid open a compartment door. There was an almost imperceptible jerk of his head, and then the girl slipped past me and into the open room. The conductor slid the door shut after her.
Your number, sir?
Huh? Oh, yes, 12.
Yes, the next one. Here. If there is anything I can do for you, I shall be pleased. If you care to leave your ticket and passport with me, I shall be able to attend to Syrian customs without disturbing you later.
As he talked, his eyes were not on me. He was watching the slow progress of a policeman through the car. The officer was walking by, glancing into each compartment. When he came opposite us, he spoke to the conductor. Conductor was standing squarely in front of the door of the girl's compartment, hiding her from view. Policeman walked on. In a moment, he had disappeared.
Thank you, sir. I shall not disturb you.
I went into my compartment. My bags were already there. The train was about to leave. Everything was in order. But I couldn't help wondering about the incident I just witnessed. About the girl I'd involuntarily hemped and the conductor. Wondered about all those police out there. Obviously, something was going on. Then I remembered. This was Istanbul, a gateway to the Middle East. It was supposed to be alive with acts of spies. Could that girl be... And then I laughed. Just my overage, stay-at-home mind imagining things. Then suddenly I heard a voice in the corridor outside.
What's the big idea?
The voice was unmistakably American and music to my ears. I jumped to my feet and stepped into the corridor. There outside the next compartment was a young man, in civilian clothes, carrying a small bag and a briefcase. The swarthy conductor was approaching him with a worried look.
How about this, huh? There's a dame in my compartment.
Beg pardon, sir. There must be a mistake. This is compartment number 10.
Naturally. You think I can't read? Number 10, that's mine.
But number 10 is not sold. It is not marked on my list.
The heck it isn't. I've got the ticket right here. What's with the dame?
Please, not so loud.
I don't get this.
I beg your pardon. Can I be of any help?
Oh, you're an American, too.
Yep. Humphrey Ward, Los Angeles.
Tom Hatfield.
Glad to know you.
Look, what's with the dame? Do you know?
No, I'm afraid
Please, gentlemen, step into the compartment, please.
But the girl...
Please. In. Yes?
Okay.
Well,
Please, sir.
Oh, all right.
Passaria. Apisema natukamo.
Hey, wait a minute. Talk English. What's all this about, anyway?
It is... I am embarrassed, sir.
You're embarrassed. I buy a ticket and find a dame in my compartment. Of course, on closer inspection, maybe I'm not so mad after all. She looks like a good deal.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you do speak English, huh?
Sir, the policeman will come by, maybe look in. I must ask of you a favor.
Yeah?
If she could stay here just until the train has started, she will not bother you after that.
Why can't she stay in her own compartment?
Please, sir, I have no place else to put her. All the other places are taken.
Oh, she's a deadhead, huh?
Deadhead?
No ticket. Stowaway.
It is something like that.
Oh, what's the setup? She your girlfriend?
No, it is not like that. It is... You see, we are both Macedonian. She is escaping from the Nazis. She wants to go to Cairo to join the Nurse Corps.
Oh?
She has been for 2 years in Greece, under the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
She is a real patriot. If you will help her...
Well, maybe if you introduced us and let her speak for herself.
She is called Maradalas.
Well, let's make it Mary for short. Mary the Deadhead. Hi, Mary.
Hi. You're okay.
Get her. She talks American.
I spent 2 years at the American school at Thessalonica. I work with Red Cross in Greece during the fighting.
Right so?
I like Americans. I want to go to United States.
Who doesn't?
I want to learn to be a real nurse. You will help me. Americans are always kind.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman here, he helped me get on the train.
Naturally.
Now you will help me. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, thank you, sir. Now, I must go before the policeman gets suspicious.
Okay, this may turn out to be a pleasure.
Looks like you don't need me. I'm in the next compartment. Maybe we'll get together later.
Sure. I'd offer you a seat, but we're sort of crowded already. Mary and me.
I went back to my seat laughing mostly at the silly idea I'd had that maybe Mary the Deadhead and her conductor friend were spies of some sort. Obviously, they were harmless. As harmless as I was. And that was completely harmless, confound it. I looked out the window as the train slid out of the station, leaving Turkey, leaving the war, going home. Back to complacent safety. Men were out here fighting and dying. They'd get no help from me. Me, overage and useless. I felt pretty sorry for myself. It wasn't until the next day that I began to get acquainted with my fellow passengers. Mary the Deadhead was riding on the conductor's jump seat at the end of the car. The Ruvians, an Armenian couple, were in 14, the compartment next to mine. Young Tom Hatfield was on the other side of me. And 2 Greek refugees, a Mr. Chinyara and a Mr. Drikar, were next to him in 8. Hatfield kept pretty much out of sight all day, and it was Mr. Chinyara who shared a table with me at dinner that night. I didn't much care for him, but he was somebody to talk to.
You Americans, you do not realize how lucky you are.
No, I suppose not.
You do not know what it is to be safe. Just look around you. Almost all the passengers on this express are refugees. All of them would pay much to be going to the United States as you are.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But yes, where else is there any security for us? But you, sir, and your young friend are already secure. Wherever you go, you are always safe. But it is not so for us.
Yeah, I suppose we do take a lot for granted, and... Oh, here's Mr. Hatfield now. Hatfield, won't you join us?
Thanks, no. I'll just sit over
no,
there.
I insist. I was just leaving. You must join your friend.
Oh, really? There's no need?
Insist, please.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chinyara. It's been a pleasure.
And for me, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Take it easy.
Well, I haven't seen much of you today. Been resting, eh?
Something like that. You ordered?
Yes, I'll call the waiter.
Never mind. He'll be back. Who's your slick-haired friend?
Oh, Mr. Chinyara? He's a Greek refugee, just escaped from the Nazis.
Everybody out here just escaped from the Nazis.
He was saying how lucky we are to be Americans. Guess I don't see many of us in Turkey these days.
I guess not.
Haven't seen many of us myself. Funny, I didn't run into you in Istanbul.
I wasn't there, just passing through.
Oh. Yeah, I thought I'd have met you at the American mission or somewhere.
No.
Well, I'm out here at the State Department. Oil. But I didn't have much luck. I'm going home now.
Too bad.
Plenty of things for us Americans to do out here, though. Like, oil and other things, you know. Of course, they give the unimportant stuff to has-beens like me. Leave the good stuff for young fellows like you.
Okay, Mr. Ward.
Huh? What?
Okay. I'm Tom Hatfield, Frankfort, Kentucky. White, Protestant, 26, unmarried. No, I'm not a draft dodger, and no, I'm not AWOL. And yes, I'm here on business, which is none of yours. I'm a captain in the Air Force. 2 years overseas. You might say officially I'm on a holiday. The fact is, I'm taking this train to Adana, where I get off at 5 tomorrow morning, cross the border, and catch a plane that's waiting to take me to Cairo. Anything else you want to know?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Sit down. I'm sorry. I guess I'm getting on my own nerves. Forget it, will you?
Oh, it's nothing. You needn't think that...
Riding on trains is kind of bad for a flyer. Makes me jumpy.
I understand. But you must have already been through a lot. I do understand. I was in France in 1918. I know what it's like.
Maybe you know better than I do.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but I envy you. I'd give anything to be in it.
You're lucky you're not.
Oh, I know. It's no fun being old and useless like me either. I envy you. I can tell you're doing something important.
You can? How?
By the way, you're so careful with that briefcase. Carry it around with you all the time. You got it on your lap now. Probably got something important in it. Dispatches or something.
So you noticed that, did you? Well, I hope nobody else on this train is so observant, Mr. Ward.
Oh, you're pulling my leg. What difference would it make, anyway?
You can never tell. On a train like this, out here, you never know.
Oh, you mean spies?
Well,
But why? I haven't seen anyone who looks suspicious.
Spies are never suspicious looking, Mr. Ward. They're anybody. Anybody who wants to make a quick buck and doesn't care how he does it. This train is alive with people like that.
Oh, yeah, but who?
Well, just take, for instance, Mary, the deadhead. She's young and pretty, yes. But she's broke. And her shifty-eyed boyfriend, the conductor.
Oh, but they're Greeks. She's a refugee.
So she says. But didn't it seem strange to you that he put her in my compartment by mistake? My name wasn't on the list, so he said. Were you satisfied with her story?
Well, for a moment I was suspicious, but...
You can't take too much for granted. Now, for instance, the story I just told you. I might be a spy, mightn't I? That whole thing might be hogwash.
Well, no. You're American. I know that. Who else would say hogwash?
No matter. I could be an American traitor. There are such things.
Oh, but that...
Or you might be the spy. Yeah, they even look like you. Meek and mild. Casper Milquetoast. And their cover stories are pips. Like telling you they're out here looking for oil. They strike up a conversation, ask questions, and notice briefcases.
Oh, but look here. Surely you don't think...
No, I don't think anything. I only say, you never can tell, Mr. Ward.
course he was kidding me, pulling my leg. But I didn't really mind. I liked him. And he had a right to be cocky and flip. He was doing something for the war effort. Even though I knew he was kidding me, I went to bed thinking about spies and fell asleep dreaming of them. Then very suddenly, I woke with a terrible sense of urgency. There was something that I must do. I looked at my watch. It was 10 minutes to 5. The train was dark. Everything was quiet. And yet, I felt I had to get up. I started to put on my clothes. It didn't make sense, but then I remembered. It was Tom Hatfield, not me, who had to get up at 5, leave the train at Adana to cross the border into Syria and take his plane. Those dispatches must be important. If he had to change to a fast plane as soon as he got out of neutral Turkey. When I stepped out into the dimly lit corridor, it was deserted. I knocked on Hatfield's door. No answer. I tried the handle. The door slid open into darkness. Something was wrong. I switched on the light and went in. Tom Hatfield lay there in the bunk asleep. Hey, Hatfield! Rise and shine. We're coming into Adana. You've got to get off. I shook him. He didn't move. Then I saw blood on his pillow and on his head. I looked around quickly. The briefcase was gone. Kevorkian! Kevorkian!
Is something wrong, sir?
Did either of you see anybody go into number 10?
No. Nobody. Who should go?
Look, do you have keys to the doors?
But no. There are no keys. They lock from the inside, a sliding bolt and chain. Nobody can get in once they are locked.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew Tom Hatfield would have locked that door. Somebody must have gotten in some other way and left that corridor door open as a false clue. But how? Then I noticed the door which connected to number 8. I tried it. It was locked. This didn't make sense. But through my mind was racing one thought. American dispatches have been stolen. Tom Hatfield is out. It's up to me. I searched the room. I found an automatic under the mattress, but no briefcase. I heard the train start up again. We were leaving Adana. I looked again at the connecting door. Then I got it. The bolt was fastened on the other side of that door, but on this side it was not. That meant that someone could have come in through number 8. I knocked on the door. I heard a movement, and then the bolt slid back and the door swung open. I was face to face with Mr. Chiniara, and he was staring at the gun in my hand.
What is it? What is that for?
The briefcase. The bag of my friends. Is it here?
Briefcase? Bag? We have here only our valises.
This door has been opened. Something is missing.
Oh, if you have lost something, I pray you to look. I know nothing of it. Come in, please, and look.
All right, I will. I'm not accusing anyone, but I just want to be sure that... Oh! Next thing I felt was a stinging coldness on my face, rushing of wind. I realized that I was hanging half out of the window of the car. It was shoving me out of the train. Savagely, I kicked, but something gave, and I pushed myself back and slid down onto the floor. I felt something hard under me. The gun. In the dim compartment, I saw them coming at me. Chiniara and Zikar. I raised the gun.
What is it? What has happened?
Oh, look! On the floor.
Shut the door quickly.
Are they...
Wait, let me look. Yes. Both of them. Finish.
They took the briefcase. I'm sure they did.
Hey, who's shooting up the place?
Hatfield.
Holy cow, will you look at that? What's happened?
Well, the briefcase. It's here someplace. I'm sure it is.
Hey, wait a minute, fella. You're all banged up here. Looks like we both got bumped. Here, sit down. You'll need a drink. Mary, you'll find a pint in my bag. Bring it in here, will you?
But they got the papers. We ought to look.
They did.
Yeah, the briefcase isn't here. I don't see it.
Oh, there wasn't anything in that briefcase except some old Istanbul newspapers. They probably threw it out the window. Back at Hyder Pasha, a Britisher I know warned me to be careful on this trip. I put my classified material someplace else.
Oh, but then that means I killed 2 men without any cause. Without a shred of evidence to back up my story.
How we waste time. Quick, the Syrian border police got on the train at Adana. They might be here any minute. Now, who is dead here?
Mary carried the dead head, took me into Hatfield's room, and carefully administered first aid to my cuts and bruises. But Kevorkian and Hatfield were busy in number 8. What are they doing?
Never mind. Pay no attention.
But they're throwing the bodies out of the window.
Think not of it, please. Kevorkian is a Macedonian. When he fought the Germans at Thessalonica, he threw bodies over the cliffs. He knows what he is doing.
Oh, but
you are a brave man, too. Even if you are not Macedonian. You would be judgment tried for 2-3 years in spite of your age and your innocence. It is better to have no bodies.
What's that?
Be quiet now. The border police.
Well, we got the room cleaned up just in time.
She has their passport. I forgot.
No, they are not here.
I can tell you about Chiniara and Rika. This man here, Mr. Ward, he is American general in disguise, Secret Service. He put Chiniara and Rika off at Adana with pistols. They were spies.
Good heavens, you'll never believe that.
Never mind. This man is a Syrian. He does not care what happens in Turkey. But do you have any Syrian money?
Oh, yes. Here, in my wallet.
Good. Give it to me. Thank you. Now, come with me, Sergeant.
Do not worry now, Mr. Ward. In a moment, Kevorkian will have those passports. We will throw them out the window, and there will be no trace.
And to think, Mary, I thought you might be drawing down an Axis paycheck.
It is no matter. Now we are out of Turkey. And before long, I can go to United States.
Baby, that might not be so easy. You've got no money, no passport, no transportation through the combat zones.
Never mind. I shall do it. I walk to here from Macedonia. I can walk all the way. Like St. Paul in the Bible walked to Rome.
Well, I wish you luck, but you'll have a time getting by British control at Aleppo. You can't smuggle a pack of cigarettes past them.
Oh, but what about me? What about a murderer?
I don't know. We'll see.
Morning, when the train pulled into Aleppo, the station where British control came on. Trip had been pretty awful, with Tom trying to act as if nothing had happened, and with me staring into that empty room, imagining Chiniara and Rika sitting there staring back at me. Maybe they had been spies, maybe not. Now they were dead, and I was in trouble. We knew that the minute the train stopped. A soldier stood outside our windows and said,
"Look here. Everyone remains in his place in this car."
We waited silently for many minutes. Then a British major in khaki shorts stepped in. Behind him I saw Kevorkian and Mary the Deadhead standing in the doorway.
Good morning, I'm Radcliffe. I'm looking for 2 missing passengers identified as Greeks, Chiniara and Rika by name. Oh, come now, they seem to have been in the next compartment. And here. What became of them?
Were there 2?
Young lady.
Yes, sir?
You weren't in number 8, were you? You don't seem to have in the other place. Nor a Syrian entrance visa.
Please. I sat down in the corridor.
It's quiet. Conductor, don't you remember 2 passengers booked through to Aleppo? One was a stout man, bookseller, who escaped from Greece 10 days ago. The other
those. They descended from the car at Adana. One was fat with slick hair, and the other... yes.
Really? I say, isn't that a bullet hole in the wall up there? And you, sir, Mr. Ward, isn't it? How did you hurt your forehead?
An accident. I bumped into...
Oh, yes, quiet. I should tell you that the Armenian couple in number 14 heard shots just after passing Adana. They were so frightened they locked themselves in until now.
It's no use. I shot them. Both of them. They hit me first.
Please realize that I'm not joking. My orders are to find those 2 pseudo-Greeks wherever they may be.
Wait a minute. You said pseudo-Greeks?
You mean, Major, you want to find them?
And how, as you Americans say.
But why?
Because we're advised by Istanbul that certain Axis agents have been working out of the Balkans with identification as refugees. These 2, Chiniara and Rika, were on this train. Our man on the train saw them throw something out at Adana. They hardly threw themselves out.
No, we did that. Your man at Haida Pasha tipped me off to expect trouble.
Really?
So they were agents.
Certainly they were spies. I knew that. No Greek would be fat like Chiniara after only 1 week escape from the Germans.
And no Greek would have hair oil from Paris?
Well, that being the case, will somebody start telling the truth?
I will. This mild little gentleman, knowing nothing of the war and fighting. He killed you 2 men in a gunfight. How you say, like nobody business. And now, please, he is still suffering from shock. So will you please give him a plane direct to Cairo where he can rest? And this American courier, he is late with dispatches. He must have a place in the plane too. And since I cannot enter Syria without the passport, will you please put me also on the plane? Because in Cairo, I can get a job as a nurse with the Ella Greeks from Macedonia who are there. And maybe God will then give me a way to go to America, like he passed St. Paul through the Taurus Gate. Is it a deal, Major? 3 places on the first plane, and you have your men like the Royal Canadian Hoosies, only dead.
The plane could be arranged, of course, if...
All right, Mr. Ward. Tell him. Tell him.
With the eyes of that amazing girl on me, my courage came back. I told him my story, completely, in every detail. He listened carefully and took it all down on his pad, and afterwards he said...
That story, Mr. Ward, is not one bit of evidence to support it. By your own statement, the evidence is buried in the snow on the slopes of the Taurus Mountains.
Nuts. I tell you, I helped check it out.
And I examined the 2 men. I am a trained nurse, and I said they were dead.
And for identification, I, a soldier of Macedonia, can swear that their passports were the men you say.
Very well. I'll ring the aerodrome. The evidence of 3 good witnesses is sufficient.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you 3 Good Witnesses by Harold Lamb, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Morgan Farley as Humphrey Ward, Jack Webb as Tom Hatfield, Jeanette Nolan as Mary the Deadhead, and Harry Bartell as Kevorkian. Music was conceived and conducted by Cy Fure. Beginning next Sunday night, Escape will be heard at a new hour, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Next Sunday night, we escape with another exciting adventure story, created for you by one of the world's great authors.
Good night, then, until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Sunday night, when again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Instant Ralston and Regular Ralston, the hot whole wheat cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages, present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are in their spacesuits on Saturn's moon number 5. Cautiously, they make their way toward a criminal who has already made one attempt upon their lives.
Smoking rockets, what was that? Space grenades. Well, if you hadn't pulled me down, we'd have got some chunks of rock right through our suits. We can't back out now. Let's go. Yes, sir. Hold it, Corey. I'll get you this time.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Lost Condor. there, Space Patroller. Hold up a minute. What's all the rush?
Oh, hi, Captain Tito. I'm in a hurry to get to the grocer's.
I bet you I know why. You're after more of those swell interplanetary space coins I hear jingling right there in your own pocket.
Yes, sir. Are they ever neat? Fun to swap and save. Got almost a whole set and I want lots more. So long, Captain Tito. Gotta blast off fast.
Space Patrollers, how about you? Have you started building up your own space coin collection? You get a space coin inside of every new package of hot Ralston. And say, have you started powering up with a good hot breakfast these cold mornings? A good hot breakfast. That means a bowlful or two of good hot Ralston, instant or regular. The hot whole wheat energy cereals that give you important vitamins and minerals in every spoonful. And taste out of this world, too. Yes, there's just no other cereal that gives you so much power, yet tastes so good. So, Space Patrollers, you blast off fast for your grocer. Get yourself some good hot Ralston, instant or regular. And look for the new packages with the picture of Commander Corey or Cadet Happy on the outside and with the neat interplanetary space coin on the inside. Start building up your own space coin collection right away and start powering up with good hot Ralston today. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, the Lost Condor. Buzz Corey is at a criminal rehabilitation center on the planet Venus, conducting his annual inspection when he receives a strange request through one of the doctors. A patient named Don Blake has asked permission to speak to him. Right now, Buzz and Mr. Cadet Happy are seated in the spacious lounge of the discharge section talking to the young man.
It's awfully good of you to see me, Commander.
What is it you wanted to talk to me about, Blake?
Well, that's the strange part. I don't know exactly. I suppose I should be happy about being released. But I'm not. I'm worried.
There's nothing to worry about. You have a job and a place to stay.
Sure, you'll be a draftsman at spacecraft plant number 2 on Mars. It's all arranged. That isn't what bothers me. I have the feeling I haven't told the authorities everything.
If that's all that's the matter, you can stop worrying. When you were arrested, you were given a brainograph test. Everything you knew about the crime you committed was on microtape.
Sure, you couldn't have held anything back if you wanted to. Still, I have a feeling that I know something unpleasant, something evil.
Dealing with what? A certain place or person?
Well, that's the trouble. It's nothing definite.
If there is something about a crime in your subconscious mind, it would have shown up in the first test.
Well, maybe it'll come to me later, after I'm released.
It may, but the chances are it isn't very serious.
I hope not. My diary. I'll go through that when I get settled. Your diary? Yeah. Before I was arrested, I kept a detailed record of everything I did. Perhaps some entry in my diary may jog my memory.
Well, that's possible. If it turns out to be important, let me know.
I certainly will, Commander. And thanks very much for talking.
Good luck, Blake. Come on, Happy. We'd better get back to Terra.
A few days later, young Don Blake returns to his home a short distance from the spacecraft plant in Lowell City on the planet Mars. And as he enters the comfortable living room... Oh!
Who are you?
Hello, Blake. Nice place you've got here.
How did you get in?
You just walked in. The door wasn't locked.
No. So I don't like locked doors.
I can understand why.
You haven't told me who you are.
Doesn't matter. I know who you are and where you've been for the past 9 months.
Well, that's no secret, but I can't see it's any of your business.
Now, don't get thirsty. I'm here to do you a favor. A big favor.
What kind of a favor?
You have some information I can use. I'm willing to pay for it.
Information about my work? If that's what you're after, you can get out of here right now.
Calm down, Blake. Calm down. The information I want has nothing to do with your present job. It's about something that happened about 10 months ago.
You mean my robbery I committed?
Maybe.
Okay.
Tell me, does the name Condor mean anything to you?
Condor?
You associated with the spaceship?
No.
I think hard. Did you ever have any dealings with the pilot of a tramp spaceship called the Condor?
What? No, I'm afraid I can't help you now. If you'll be good enough to go, I'll...
Hold on. Let's not give up so easily. The memory is sometimes a freakish thing. Isn't that why you once kept a diary?
How do you know that?
I know many things about you, Blake. You wrote many trivial things in that diary. The titles of books you read, the names of chance acquaintances.
Yes, that's right, but
And the name of the pilot of the Condor is very likely in your diary, or at least a clue to his identity.
I'm sure you're mistaken.
It won't hurt to let me look through the book.
I'm not what you're willing to pay me for.
Well, not entirely. The money will be for you to keep this conversation a secret. How about it, Blake?
I don't like this at all. You won't even tell me who you are, yet you offer me money for information on a purely personal, private document. No, I'm not interested.
Better think it over, Blake, for your own good.
Is that a threat?
That crime you committed a few months ago. Did it ever occur to you that someone may have been behind the scenes, quietly arranging events to your advantage, sort of paving the way for you?
No, it was my own idea. I was in it by myself. It was just an accident that I found a man who could help me dispose of a loot.
Accident, was it? Blake, that man was there when you needed him because I planned a complex chain of events.
But I got caught. Everything stolen was recovered.
I planned that, too. Your petty crime was arranged to distract attention from a much bigger crime.
I don't believe it.
That's unimportant. My plan was complex to protect myself. There were many people involved. Each as ignorant of the master plan as you were. When an unforeseen accident occurred, I had to put my chessboard away for 10 months, so to speak, until I could put a certain pawn back into play.
And I'm the pawn, have it?
Exactly. Your diary probably contains the small bit of information I need to win the game. If you don't help me, well, I can easily arrange another series of events around you.
You can't make me commit another crime. No.
I wouldn't be too sure, Blake. In any case, I could easily arrange a crime in which you would be the victim. It would be a shame if your second chance in life were to be cut short, Blake. I'll give you 48 hours to think it over. If you're smart, you'll give me the diary when I come back.
Several hours later, on the man-made planet Terra, Buzz and Happy are working late at Space Patrol headquarters.
I'll get it to you.
Commander Corey's office. Could I help you, man? Who's calling? Just a minute, please. Sir, it's Don Blake.
Blake? Oh, from the Rehab Center.
Yes, sir. He wants to talk to you. Says it's important.
All right, then. This is Commander Corey. How are you, Blake?
I've got to talk to you.
Where are you?
Terra Spaceport.
All right, come on up. I'll tell the duty officer to let you in.
No. I wouldn't dare do that.
What's the matter? Are you in trouble?
Not yet, but I can't tell you over the phone. It's about the matter I spoke to you about on Venus. It involves a serious crime. I just got in from Mars, and I may be followed if I leave the spaceport.
Followed? By whom?
Commander, I'm near gate 22. Get down here right away.
All right, Blake. I'll be there. Corey out. Come on, Happy.
Gate 22 at the big Terra spaceport is far down the line, away from the regular passenger gate. Unobtrusively, Buzz and Happy make their way to the appointed place. Buzz listens to Blake's story of the strange visitor and his vague but alarming threat.
So I thought I'd better come here and tell you all about the whole story.
You never saw this man before?
No, sir, I'm positive.
And he didn't tell you his name?
No.
Where is the diary?
I've got it right here inside my jacket.
Better give it to me.
Yeah, glad to. Maybe I've got too much imagination, but ever since I talked to that man, I've had the feeling that he's guilty of some crime. The crime I helped to commit.
Don't draw any conclusions until we get all the facts. Happy.
Yes, sir.
See that Mr. Blake gets back safely to Mars. Put him aboard the next passenger ship out of Terra.
Commander, you're not going to send me back to Mars.
You'll be guarded. When that fellow shows up for his appointment, we'll nab him. Now go along with you.
All right, Commander.
Don't lose any of you.
It's him. That's the man.
You're very foolish to try this, Blake. Now, Commander, give me that diary. Why should you be interested in this man's diary? Quit stalling. Don't make any move toward your weapons. If I'm forced to use this blaster, it'll attract attention. Others might be hurt. The diary, please. All right. I'm anxious to see what use you'll make of it, Mr. Corbett. Police Corbett. That name means nothing to you yet, and it never will. Move toward that parked surface car. Casually, please. Come along, Blake. And be careful not to get between the space patrolman and my gun.
What are you going to do, Corbett?
I'll explain in due time. Keep moving, gentlemen. So this is the car. Commander, you and the cadet get in the back. Come on. You'll drive, Blake. I'll keep our friends covered. Go on, Blake. Do as I tell you. All right. Now, the slightest move from either of you, and you'll find out what a blast gun does at close range. Start the car, Blake. drive through the gate, slowly, just as though we were driving out to the ship. Turn left, there, at the far end of the port.
There's no ship out here.
No. Nothing but a fuel storage tank. Now, you two in the back, lean forward. Come on. All right, Corey, here's yours.
Hey, what's the idea?
Now, Blake, step out of the car.
No.
You heard me.
No.
Jump unless you want to be part of the accident.
What do you mean?
Get out. I'll follow as soon as I head the car right for that fuel tank. Now, get out!
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Listen to that football player kick that ball. And listen to that crowd cheer. Power, that's what he's got. More power to him and more power to you. Power to think fast and act fast. And you get it from a power breakfast with the swell-tasting whole wheat power cereal, Good Hot Roastin', instant or regular. More power to you, because 1 ounce of delicious hot roastin' gives you 20% of the vitamin B1 and 11% of the iron you need all day long. And that's not all. Hot roastin' gives you all the power of whole wheat and twice as much power from the heart of the wheat. That's why a good breakfast with hot roastin' gives you extra protein for powerful muscles, extra vitamins for sturdy growth and steady nerves. So join the power team. Get Hot Roastin', instant or regular, at your grocer's today. No other cereal gives you so much power, yet tastes so good. So more power to you from Good Hot Roastin'. And now back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Lost Condor. For a reason he is not fully divulged, the man calling himself Least Corbett is after a diary belonging to Don Blake, a young man recently released from a criminal rehabilitation center. While Buzz and Appy were talking to Blake in a dimly lit portion of the spaceport, Reese Corbett appeared and, drawing a blast gun, took the diary and then forced the 3 men into a surface car. After knocking out Buzz and Happy with the butt of his gun, Corbett ordered Blake to jump from the moving car. Then Corbett leaped out, leaving Buzz and Happy in the car, which is now roaring across the spaceport toward a fuel storage tank. Dazed from a vicious blow, Cadet Happy raises his head.
Oh, my head. Look at rocket. Who's driving? Hey, Commander, we're headed right for a fuel tank. Grab the wheel, Happy. Oh, we just missed it, Commander. Corbett was certainly anxious to get rid of us. And Blake must have been right about that diary being important.
Now Corbett's got Blake and the diary. Head for the guard shack near Gate 5, and we'll alert Space Control.
Across the spaceport, Corbett and Blake, bruised by their leap from the moving surface car, watch the car careen around the strip and finally come to a stop.
I heard it when it jumped.
You'll get a lot worse than a bad leg if you don't hurry. We've got to get to my spaceship and blast off before Corey alerts the control tower.
Blast off where?
Never mind, just get moving.
In the guard shack, Commander Corey orders Space Control to ground all private cruisers, then orders a careful check of all passenger ships.
Gate 5, Corporal Niven here. Yes, Captain.
Just a moment, sir.
Commander Corey. Yes? For you, sir. Captain Barton in the tower. Thanks.
What is it, Captain? What? Didn't that order get through? I see. All right, Captain. I'll be in Colonel Ryan's office at Port Headquarters until further notice. Corey out.
Got away, huh?
Yeah. Corbett used a false identification call to the tower. He must have been ready for this kind of a getaway. He got through the locks before the tower noticed the mistake.
Couldn't we blast off after it?
Yes, but if he has Blake with him, we'd be at a disadvantage. First, let's see if we can find out what Corbett is up to.
Well, how are we going to do that?
He must have pulled off some time, and about the time Blake was arrested. Probably a major robbery that's still unsolved. If we check the record for that particular time, we might find out which one it was.
Right. Then there's this mystery word, Condor. It's connected somehow to a pilot or a tramp spaceship. Well, spaceship registry might run that down for us.
Yeah, if it could, Corbett wouldn't wait 10 months for Blake to be released. No. Condor must be a nickname known to a limited circle. I'll contact a few pilots and spread the word around. To find out who or what the Condor is before Corbett does, you can lay a trap for him.
Elsewhere, avoiding the space lanes, a private cruiser speeds away from Terra toward the outer planets. With frequent glances at the viewscopes, Reese Corbett sets the controls on automatic pilot, then turns to Don Blake.
All right, you've had plenty of time to read over your entries in the diary. Find anything out about the Condor?
No, it's no use, Corbett. I couldn't help you even if I wanted to.
You're not qualified to decide that. While I was making it easy for you to get away with your poultry haul, I had another gang working on a job of real value.
What was it?
Never mind. At one time, your loot and mine were aboard the same ship. And the valuable stuff was transferred by another group of intermediaries. With a slip of a curb.
What makes you think the information is in my diary?
Because, Blake, you are an observant young man, but not a very analytical one. You collect facts, but you don't source them. Your mind is like a sheet of old-fashioned flypaper. It catches everything that touches it, but digests nothing. That's why I selected you above 100 others. And I'll read your diary aloud. When you come to the right entry, I'll recognize it. Go on. Start with the entry for...
In the spaceport office on Terra, Cadet Happy brings Commander Corey a sheaf of reports he's just received by spaceophone.
Here it is, sir. List of crimes that occurred during the period you mentioned.
Thanks, Happy.
I put a check mark on this one, sir.
1 million space credits stolen from Underplanet Bank. Nothing recovered to date. All suspects arrested so far have been released as having no knowledge of the crime.
It's pretty hot, doesn't it?
Yes, Hap, it does. And it all ties in with the information I have on the Condor. Got a lead, Hap. One of our men got hold of a commercial pilot who could talk.
You found out what the Condor is?
Yes. It was an old tramp spaceship. No one has seen or heard of it for several months. It's owned by an old-time pilot named Stubby Sykes.
Did he disappear with the ship?
No, he's now working as a mechanic.
Mechanic? Where?
You'll find out when you get to the Jupiter City spaceport. Let's go.
Hours later, the Terra 5 lands at Jupiter City spaceport, and Buzz and Happy go immediately to a rambling structure bearing the sign Repair Shop Number 6. A foreman points toward a short, stocky, middle-aged man engaged in straightening a section of rocket engine housing.
Excuse me, are you Stubby Sykes?
Yep.
Could I talk to you a minute?
Sure. Glad of a chance to rest. Swinging the hammer's heavy work.
It must be. I'm Commander Corey of the Space Patrol, Mrs. Cadet Happy.
Hello, Mr. Sykes.
Howdy. Won't shake hands. Pretty greasy.
Say, isn't there an easier way to straighten that metal, Mr. Sykes? I mean, with a machine instead of a hammer?
Son, there's 3 ways of doing the job. Easy way, hard way, and the right way. I'm doing it the right way.
I guess I got told.
I guess you did. Mr. Sykes, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Fire rockets?
Did you ever own a spaceship called the Condor? Did you, Mr. Sykes?
Yeah.
Boy, what happened to it?
Ship can't last forever, Commander. You know that.
Yes, but what happened to the Condor?
It's an old ship. Done its work and had its day. Cracked up. Smashed, so now I'm a mechanic. That answer your question?
Pardon me. When did this happen?
10 months ago, more or less. Well, on Saturn's 5th moon. Controls wouldn't work. Tried to land to make repairs. Kind of cracked up. I finally hailed a small lunar cruiser. With a real smart aleck pilot. He was lucky I didn't toss him through his own nose port with the cracks he made about the Condor.
I'm sorry about your ship, Mr. Sykes. Oh, was any of the cargo salvaged?
Cargo? Nothing but junk. Not even a payload. A few 100 pounds of processed food and a few cases of tools. Nobody'd bother going after it. Record's still there.
Mr. Sykes, would you help me find the Condor?
Well, right now I'm on overtime. Got to get this job done today.
How about tomorrow morning?
All right. Tomorrow morning.
Fine. I'll make arrangements with the foreman.
However, the next morning, after a visit to the airport, Happy returns with disturbing news.
Commander, Mr. Sykes is gone.
Are you sure, Hap?
I just checked with the foreman. He got aboard a spaceship about an hour ago with another man. Sykes' roommate saw him, and the roommate knows everybody that Sykes knows, and this fellow was a complete stranger. From the description, he sounds like Reese Corbett.
We'll find out. Get to the ship, Hap. We're blasting off for Saturn number 5.
A private space cruiser flies low over the craggy surface of Saturn's 5th moon. Reese Corbett is at the controls as Stubby Sykes scans the craters and deep ravines.
Ought to be sighting Condor pretty quick now, Mr. Corbett.
Fine.
Hope I did right in not telling that Commander Corey fellow I was going with you.
You'd have been foolish to tell him, Sykes. The new salvage law gives the Space Patrol 100% of the proceeds from the salvage of wrecked spaceships and cargoes. Corey wouldn't have to give you a single credit. even if the Condor is your own ship.
No, I didn't know about that law. I haven't been following that end of business lately.
Lucky I located you in time, Sykes.
Never did know who owned part of that cargo I was hauling. Never thought it was worth going after.
I was deceived by a dishonest agent working for me at the time. It's taken me 10 months to find you.
There she is. There's the Condor down there in that crater just the way I left her.
Get out the spacesuit, Sykes. I'll land the ship close to the wreck so we don't have far to carry the cargo. As I can tell at this distance, Commander, they're decelerating. It must be preparing to land. You're right, sir. They sighted the Condor. The wreck shows up in the viewscope way up in the corner. Grid 9-8. Yes, I see it. Now the trick is to land close to them without giving them a chance to blast off. We can come in low and keep the sun behind us. Yeah, they won't be able to hear our rockets as long as there isn't any atmosphere. Be sure your suit spaceophone is set to our secret frequency. We may have to use the regular frequency to talk to them, but I don't want them picking us up till we're ready.
On the surface of Saturn's fifth moon, Sykes and Corbett stand amid the wreckage of the old spaceship. Scattered about are half a dozen large crates, which Corbett examines carefully. Unnoticed by either man is a tiny black dot against the bright disk of the sun, a dot that grows steadily larger.
We won't have to move all of these crates, Sykes. Yes, you know what you're doing, Mr. Corbett, but none of this stuff looks very valuable to me. Oh, don't you worry about that. You'll get the 500 credits I promised you the moment we're through loading and back in the ship. That isn't a life for you. Here I am, a mechanic, getting more for lugging a few crates than I got for many an interplanetary trip as captain of the old Condor. I couldn't have found the Condor without you. Besides, I may need your help to destroy the wreckage. Huh? We don't need destroying anymore. 3 space grenades will blast the old hunk to pieces, and the space patrol will never find it. That hardly seems necessary, Mr. Corbett. What do you care? Come on, guys. Let's get to work. Help me with this crate. All right. You're the boss. Say, over there. Where'd that other ship come from? Darned if it didn't land without me noticing. It's Corey's ship. Those 2 fellas in spacesuits. Must be Corey and his cadet. Well, we was here first, so I guess... Don't stand there, Jeffrey. Stop. Take one of these space grenades. Say, hold on. What do you want to do? Yes. Corey, you crazy? Smoking rockets, what was that? Space grenade. Wow, if you hadn't pulled me down, we'd have got some of those chunks of rock right through our suits. We can't back out now. Get behind this rock, Happy. It looks like Sykes is on our side. He's pulling Corbett's arm. Corbett's got another grenade. Shall we rush them? Yes, from above. Huh? With low gravity on this moon, we can reach Corbett in 1 leap. Yes, sir, but we'll come down awful slow. We'll use our jetpacks to force us down quickly. All right, Hap, jump. Hey, he missed us again, thanks to Sykes. Use your jetpack, Hap. Hit the ground as soon as you can. Yes, sir. Tell me, where's Blake? He's in the ship, locked up in the compartment. He's all right. Better be. Commander. Yes, Sykes. Tried to stop Corbett from harming you. Don't know what he's up to, honest to know. I believe you. Happy, show Sykes what Corbett came here for. Show him what's in that damaged crate. Oh, yes, sir. Here, Sykes. Take a look at this. Space credits? Bales of it. $1 million of them, Sykes. You and Blake can split the reward. Reward? I get a reward? Certainly. Blake led us to you, and you led us to the money. Oh, Condor. Seems like she's worth more busted up on the ground than she is flying. Well, with your share of the reward, you can probably get another ship, Mr. Sykes. Nope. I reckon I'm just like the Condor here. Better off on the ground. It's all the same to you. Buy me a new hammer. A big one.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Hi, Space Patrollers. Commander Corey here.
Space Patroller Kevin Rogers here.
Space Patroller Rogers and I are just finishing up the most important meal of the day.
Yes, sir. Just had a power breakfast.
And a power breakfast always means a big bowl full or two of good hot Ralston.
Instant Ralston or regular Ralston.
Those wonderful hot whole wheat energy cereals that give you twice as many body-building elements from the...
part of the wheat.
Right. Good hot Ralston does give you all the vitamins and minerals that any other cereal provides and twice as much power from the...
part of the wheat.
Right again, Space Patroller Rogers. And it tastes just as good as it is good for you. So take it from me, Space Patrollers, and I've investigated every other cereal in the universe. No other cereal gives you so much power yet tastes so good. That's why it's the official hot cereal of the Space Patrol. So head for your grocers, get a package of good hot Ralston right away.
And remember, you get a swell interplanetary space coin inside every package.
And now a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Commander Cory and Cadet Happy have entered a warehouse on the planet Venus to rescue an abducted explorer. As they creep up a flight of stairs, two criminals lurk above them behind a huge barrel.
Easy now, Happy. I've got Marcus in the place. Commander, the top of the stairs.
Get your hands up. We're space patrolmen.
I'm up and got it.
Come on, Happy.
Comes the barrel, Perry. Roll it down on him.
Commander, look out!
Be sure to join us again next week for the thrilling story, The Venus-Tsylana Mystery, when Instant Wilson and Regular Wilson again present Space Patrol! Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Cory and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, Stephen Robertson, and Joe Cranston. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Instant Wilson and Regular Wilson again present Space Patrol! This is Dick Tufeld in Los Angeles reporting on the famous jet plane assigned to the vital Air Force mission of defending America's homeland, Lockheed's F-94C Starfire. In a moment, we'll hear from Tony LaVere, the well-known record-breaking test pilot on the Starfire. Within seconds after warning, this radar-controlled interceptor can be off the ground and streaking to 45,000 feet or higher. Packing 48 rockets, it can fly and fight in sunshine or darkness at speeds of more than 600 miles per hour. Now, Tony LaVere, tape recorded this morning at a California airbase.
You know, good health is important to a test pilot, and I have to stay in top condition. I get lots of rest and eat plenty of good food. That's why I like a good cereal for breakfast, like Rice Chex or Wheat Chex. They have real energy and they taste swell. Why don't you try them?
No other cereal, puff or flake, contains so much nourishment in such concentrated bite-sized form. So take a tip from Tony LaVere, Joe Lynch, and other top test pilots. Make your cereals Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast for Armed Forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.